And hello there, everybody.
We're
Welcome back to another.
back.
Indeed, we're always back to another debate dissection where we are taking the scalpel to a climate change debate. This is part two. I believe I linked part one in the description. I think I did that, but if I haven't, I soon will and find out if I failed or not. But welcome back, or welcome for the first time. We are reviewing a debate between Potholer54 and Tom Nelson. So basically, Potholer54 is a science communicator, has done a ton of work on communicating all kinds of science and pushing back against these sort of anti-science ideas. Tom Nelson is a bit of a climate slash conspiracy person slash, just sort of a
Yeah.
just a tiny bit, and we did the part one. But first of all, I have to introduce my stunning guests. They make me look good. First off, we have Ember, my wonderful co-host. How are you?
Still here.
Still here?
It's
That's
it's
great.
been a rough day, but we persist.
Okay. Well, hopefully we can unwind, have a bit of a laugh, have a bit of a joke and unwind for today.
Hell
No
yeah.
stress, no stress at all. And we're joined by our lovely guest, the wonderful Bree. How are you, Bree? How are you doing?
I'm Zen. I'm Zen.
You're
The Swede's
zen?
kicking in, so that's the Zen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
And after seeing Tom Nelson last week, I knew I was going to need
You're
weed
gonna
for this
need it.
stream.
Fair
He's
enough.
very I want to. A nice way to describe him is confrontational. He's very
Aggressive, yes.
combative about it. When Potholer talks, all he does is look for a way to tear that down. So
Yeah.
and obnoxious would be the word I would use if I wasn't being friendly, but I'm not going to call him obnoxious. I can be obnoxious too. Don't get me wrong, but
He's
I won't call
certainly.
him obnoxious. I'll just put the word on the table and you can decide for yourself.
yeah,
I've certainly
yeah.
seen worse as far as obnoxious is concerned, but there is that element of that, like you say, an aggressiveness. He kind of jumps in all the time. He kind of tries to change the topic to irrelevant stuff all the time. I mean, the first half, we kind of spent the entire time, just trying to get Tom Nelson to admit that he changed the graphic in a source. That was basically the first half of it. That he took
The whole
something out of a
time.
paper and removed what was it called, the tick of doom or some uptick of doom or something
The
like that.
spike of doom.
Spike of doom, right? Like, so he changed a graphic in a paper to not represent what it had in the paper, and all Potholer was trying to do was get him to admit that he took out something from that graphic in the paper, which he wouldn't do. It's kind of, but it's not like he said, no, I took that exactly. He wouldn't outright deny it, but he wouldn't confirm it either. And this is one of the things that I thought I'd bring up on this one. This whole thing of like riding that fence, and you'll see it from politicians a lot. Like, did you do this one thing? And they're like, well, that's not the problem. The problem is, and they'll go on to something, and it's like, no, just frigging say yes or no. Like, seriously. So yeah,
It's the Bill
I did.
Clinton thing. I did not. I like when well, it depends on what you mean by sex, right?
Oh,
That's
look, Bill Clinton. If he's not in the Epstein files, I will absolutely be shocked. Like, seriously, if there's one dude that you'd pin for being in there, it's got to be him, right? Like, it has to be.
Well,
But
after the current president, yes.
I
Nobody's
think it's
easier than the
more
current president.
likely. I think it's more likely for Bill Clinton to be in there than the current president. To be honest with you, I think he is creepy as fuck.
so.
But that's just me.
Since you had mentioned the spike of doom, every time that Tom says spike of doom, I'm going to add a piece of spiked jewelry. I have
Oh yeah,
2, 3,
nice.
4, 5, 6 pieces of spiked jewelry here. I think I have a couple more somewhere, but if he says it more than 6 times, then I'm out. But
I must admit, during sort of like when I was young, I used to wear a leather, like a faux leather thing with spikes on it. So, during a sort of emo era, Mark. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yes. I love these. They're so cute.
You do? Okay. All right.
I don't
know
care.
anything.
I'm in my 40s, but I dress like I'm a teenager because I never got to dress like this when I was a teenager.
Right.
So
Same. I mean, I dress like a little old lady, but I also missed out on the teenager thing, and
I love
I'm
your
gonna be
hats,
sparkly,
Ember.
damn it.
Sorry? Sorry, Brie, I missed that.
Oh, I just told Ember I loved her hats.
Oh, everyone loves her hats. Yeah, they're amazing. So yeah, I she was going to spike her drink. No, it's not a good idea to mix weed and alcohol. It's not a great idea. As long as you, well, you know what? Look, it's illegal here. I have had weed in my when I was younger, but like if you have weed and then drink, it's usually fine. If you drink heavily and then have weed, it's usually a bad time. That's my usual experience, but that's just me.
So when you come to the States for a visit, Mark, once we're no longer a fascist dictatorship, when you come for a visit, I'm going to get you lit. I'm just saying.
Okay.
It's
maybe.
a tradition. Anytime anybody comes to see Bree, they have to get like lit up.
Yeah, I don't really, partake anymore, but we'll see what happens. We'll see how good your convincing is versus my resistance to peer pressure. I do have a firm bet on my resistance to peer pressure, but that's okay.
Fair.
You can try your best. Try your best. Sorry?
It is
like
just
the
as
cool
likely to go
kids
the
are
other
doing
way.
it, Mark.
It may be us visiting you in Australia for at least a few years.
Have you?
Maybe.
Tried like edibles? Maybe that might be more your bag. You have?
Yes.
Yeah. What about drinks?
Yes.
You tried THC drinks?
No.
They're basically like edibles. They're a little bit faster.
Okay.
And don't listen to what Maya says about edibles. She doesn't. Yeah. Don't do it. Yeah. Love you, Maya.
It's a trap. Yeah, and Maya in the chat, awesome. So good to see you. And yeah, I don't know. I have nothing against them. Used to when I was younger. Just don't anymore. I just don't feel the need. I don't like it. Just makes me feel slow for the next few days. So I just, I don't enjoy it that much. But we'll see. Yeah, but back to the debate at hand, like side tangents for the win, of course. But yeah, well, I'll get this up and we'll start to get going because we do have half a debate. Whoops, that's not the view that I want. Is that the view that I want? I think that's the view that I want. Yeah. Okay, so I found that sort of like right where they were talking about, they're about halfway through. They've just been talking about the Spike of Doom, of course, like Tom Nelson. And now they're going on to like, because Tom Nelson sort of said, oh, like I think Potholer said, oh, we're getting sidetracked kind of thing. And Tom Nelson was like, yeah, I'm worried about you filibustering. And it was just such a projection that, like, because Tom Nelson's going on and on and on and on and on about stuff, sometimes with absolutely no connection to what they're talking about currently. For him to say, I'm worried about filibustering, it's like, my guy, the call's coming from inside the house. Like, I really feel impressed with Potholer that he's able to sort of keep this guy back on track. But
like, Mom, that's an echo.
Yeah. Are we ready to go? How are you feeling about delving into this? Just buckle up.
Let's do that.
All right.
Spike of Doom.
What your movie said was that according to many studies, the time of the great civilizations about 5,000-6,000 years ago was considerably warmer than today.
Absolutely.
Now, the only paper so far that you've cited doesn't say that.
Is there
I cited 10 of them. You didn't do your homework. I showed you these.
Sorry?
Is there any way to put closed caption on?
No, this is a file, so no.
Oh, this is a file. Okay, never mind. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, so he's sort of saying, hey, you said the time of the great civilizations was hotter than today, and he's asked for a paper, but Tom Nelson can't give a paper because he never cited anything for it. He just sort of said, and this was where he threw out these names but didn't actually cite anything. And we went into one of them, right? We checked out one last week, and it just said that this ocean was had warmed. And that's not the same thing as the global heat being warmer, which is what he
wanted to
claimed in his
compare the
documentary.
global temperature change or climate changes to the North Atlantic climate zone. Strictly just
well,
that
it wasn't
one
even the
climate
climate zone. It was ocean temperature.
Yeah,
it wasn't even.
Yeah, the ocean. Yeah,
it wasn't
the
even
temperatures of the North Atlantic.
Yeah, it wasn't even. It's like apples and oranges. You know, when you're talking about climate, you're talking about especially global climate. You're talking about the average climate over the entire Earth. Well, he's talking about one paper that's, you know, an ocean. No, you can't compare those two.
At a time, now you're going to claim, oh, we don't have time to go through them now. You should have done this beforehand because I said.
I'm sorry, but none of the papers you've sent me says that was the case, and you didn't know what this paper that you've just cited said, and it clearly is talking about Northwest Atlantic temperatures. So
okay, how about the Iberian Shelf and New Zealand and Northern California, Northern Pacific, Northern Sweden, Eastern Atlantic, Yukon, South China Sea, tropical Pacific, Alaska, tropical Africa. It goes on and on. That you're going to say, oh, you're just going to throw them out because they don't tell you what you want to hear.
No, they're what you want to hear. Wait, it's not Potholer saying these papers back up the claim that it was hotter in that period. Tom Nelson is.
He's cherry picking the data and being like, why do you not like my cherry picked data for?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I bet you a nickel if we looked up every single one of those papers, assuming we had citations to do the looking up with, it'd be something like 5,700 years ago for one season, Yukon was 1 degree warmer or some shit. Like it'd be none of the dates would line up. They'd all just be different, weird off-season things or something.
Yeah. And I don't think the paper was comparing the North Atlantic to today. I think it would basically said that it was getting warmer from an earlier period. I don't know why he's sort of on this. Well, it shows that it's warmer than today. It's sort of like, well, that none of them show that.
That's like this. So that's the central part to the Roman warm period or whatever, is that it wasn't there's no evidence that it was global. Not really.
Right.
We have evidence that it was the North Atlantic and in Europe that were in North Africa that were affected by it. Yeah.
Yeah,
it coincides with when Rome and Egypt and all the big empires, which there's a lot more factors to each of those things than just the climate.
Well, we see a lot of this, especially in young Earth creationist circles, where they'll basically take one tiny thing out of a paper and extrapolate that to exactly what they need to extrapolate. But, and Donnie, I'm looking in your direction, mate. Donnie Deals will take the fact that endogenous retroviruses can, have benefits to say, well, then they were created by God, when the paper doesn't, say anything about them being placed by God. He basically uses them in a way that's this, okay, well, I'm going to take this one piece of data, extrapolate that however I want, and then claim the paper supports me. But what Tom Nelson's understanding is the paper doesn't support him in that claim, right? Just because it says, hey, the Atlantic was warming, doesn't mean it was warmer than today. And he's really dodgy about this, because if that was the case, he would just go to a paper saying, a comparison of global temperature between this point and this point, and then leave it at that. But
it's weird, and something we need to bring up from last time so people don't necessarily have to go back and watch it, is that he rejected instrument readings, instrument readings in favor of the dendrochronological record. He's like, modern instrument readings are wrong. Dendrochronologies is where it was at, which is a really weird take.
It's really weird what he was doing, because the paper had in it dendrochronology readings. So basically, if you're unfamiliar, dendrochronology is the reading of tree rings, and they basically get bubbles of atmosphere trapped in these structures that they can then measure to see what it was like, essentially. But he basically took it, and basically they had a point where they didn't have to rely on trees anymore. Right? They just could measure it with instruments. So as soon as we started measuring with the instruments, we kind of said, well, let's use that instead of the trees, because it is so much more accurate. And he just dropped the entire instrumentation thing. I'm sure that he would use the instrumentation if he can make some sort of point. Like, oh, it's hotter then than it was now. What data are you relying on for now? He'd say, oh, well, there's been instrumentation readings. He will use it, specifically whenever he wants. And that's a problem. Yeah, I don't know, Jedi. Wasn't there a year without a summer after a massive volcanic eruption?
Yeah, that's when they wrote when Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein, The Year Without a Summer. Was that Toba?
Oh, okay.
What eruption was that, though?
I don't know.
It affected Northern Europe. It might have been in Iceland. But yeah,
1816 apparently. 1816. Yeah. Severe climate abnormalities. Yeah, right. Wow, that's incredible. Wow. I did not know that. That's interesting.
It'd work better if I unmuted my mic, wouldn't it?
But does that mean if that didn't happen, that eruption didn't happen, we wouldn't have Frankenstein? That's wild. That's
literally true.
The saddest.
And half of Lord Byron's poetry, because they all kind of, Mary Shelley, her husband, Lord Byron, and whoever the fuck he was seeing at the time, they all kind of like had a little poly thing going on that year, because they were all stuck in Lord Byron's castle.
Was it Bram Stoker? The Dracula guy?
No, Bram Stoker was much later, but Lord Byron did write a vampire story.
Yeah, they sat around writing horror stories. I knew that, and that's just awesome. Like, I think if I had the creative mind for that, that's absolutely wicked. I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
Mary wasn't at the time. Mary wasn't even necessarily I mean, she was trying to be a writer, but Percy, her husband, was the writer, and him and Byron were both writers. And Percy's written a lot. You can find a lot of Percy Shelley poetry too.
That's awesome.
You got to look at them all. Yeah.
Tom, if you could just stop interrupting for a second.
Okay. Again, you're talking more than I am.
I don't think that's true. That's not true. And you just interrupted to tell him he's talking more. Like, that is not true. Mm-hmm. Tom has been interrupting consistently all this entire time. Like, Potholer Peter is just sort of saying, hey, what's the deal with this? And he's really being obnoxious. I'm going to call him obnoxious. I don't care. He is being obnoxious. He really is.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I was being silly when I said I wasn't gonna use that word. I wanted to leave it on the table for the audience to decide whether Tom's obnoxious or not.
Well, usually in a debate, you'll disagree with somebody, and Potholer is doing this. He'll disagree, but he'll let him finish his word and then come back with a refutation. The problem is that if the other person is just interrupting, it's all one side. And I don't know what kind of fantasy land Tom's living in, but there is no possible way Peter has spoken more than him. I'm sorry, it isn't the case.
To me, is that the only paper you cited, and you said
no.
What's in it?
Not only paper. I said your 30 paper. Please stop saying only paper.
No. So this is a misunderstanding between the two. When he says cited, he's basically talking about you giving the name, author, date, and the details so you can find it. What Tom's saying when he cites is he throws out a bunch of names and years, which isn't really a citation, but I can understand why the confusion is, because Tom thinks that's a citation, whereas someone in academia would say that's not a citation, right? It's not. Like, a citation is when you actually go, Shelley, M, on Writing Frankenstein, like the name of it, the journal, you know, Writers Monthly, you know, page 48 to 40, you know, 51, 1878, and, you know, that is a citation, right? According to academic. If you just go Shelley 1978, that is not a citation. That is not. Okay.
Yeah, so when you're writing a proper paper for publication in a pop sci article, some journals, but generally you want a better citation for a journal publication as well, at least for the submission. The short citation, the name and year, is just a reference to your bibliography. And then from the bibliography, you can get the full citation. So you don't have to put in the whole thing every time throughout the paper. But it's there when you're talking to someone or you're sending an email, that you can't just use the short citation without the bibliography, because it's just a reference for the bibliography.
Right. Yes. Am I sure I'm not Canadian? Pretty sure.
You don't sound Canadian.
I don't act Canadian. I don't even like moose.
Moose are pretty cool. Moose are even cooler with squirrels. Moose and squirrels.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bryce,
Look, what? There's actually no real contention in the communities of people who actually understand climatology on whether climate change is anthropogenic and is happening. It's not. There is no contention. The contention is with people. Is that from people hired by oil executives and the Koch brothers, like this gentleman here, to spin a narrative to push the fossil fuel industry and industry in general, regardless of the health of the climate and the fate of the planet. Because, like George Carlin has said, the planet will be fine. Humans are. I won't say because we're only 22 minutes in.
No, that's fine. Say it. I don't care anymore.
Humans are
really
fucked.
don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, apparently, number one, you won't get stung for that anymore. I did hear that somewhere, but don't take it as sort of, you know, a given, because I just heard some people talk about it.
Either 7 minutes or 3 minutes. I can't remember.
Yeah, something like that.
It's super short then. It used to be long. It used to be like 20 minutes in the first 20 minutes of the show.
Look, I don't even know. I'm just going to do whatever. But, you know, among experts and scientists in general, like, you know, NASA and all scientific institutions that cover any kind of climate, meteorology, anything at all, they absolutely have a consensus that climate change, anthropogenic, like human-made climate change, is real. It's just people outside of the field contend with it, which you know, that is not contentious to us. Like there's a lot of religious people who say no, it's not real because of their religious. We don't listen to those people. It's like saying that, hey, germ theory is contentious. Well, it's not contentious within the field, right? Like all doctors agree on it. You know, just because you get some people outside saying no, it's wrong, that doesn't mean it's contentious. Okay, so in the field, it's not contended at all. And every single prediction they've made about climate change has been happening. So, you know, I don't know.
That's like saying physics is contentious because there's flat earthers that exist, right?
Correct,
yes. The age of the universe is contentious because, you know, there's young earth creationists out there.
Yeah, Answers in Genesis has PhDs, therefore it's not a consensus. No, there's a consensus. Having 3 exceptions who are paid to have a specific opinion doesn't break. It means it's
fine.
Not
what do they call those? Article of faith? They have to.
Yeah, you have to sign an article of faith. Yeah.
To many tens of them. There are 73 of them under the Marcotte thing. So it's not one. It's not one.
I'll tell you what.
Yes, but
we forgot tens of them. Tens of them was another one of our drinking games.
I think that people are coming from Captive Desk who thank you so much, Dave. It's good to see you. Man. Yeah, we were checking out.
Appreciate you, Dave.
Bree and I were at Captive Desk before. A really good time. Really good panel. I was saying earlier, really good panel that they had there. I really liked everybody. You know, Mike was there. Austin was there. Really good panel. Yeah, fantastic. Hail Bigfoot. But yeah, I think... what was I saying? I got interrupted by a random Dave. When he's saying tens of papers, we see this a lot. We are very familiar with it. All three of us have done those things where someone has given like 10 citations for things. And I'm thinking of Austin Whitsitt, right? Like he'll give like these multiple citations, and some of them will even be to real papers that aren't generated by an AI, you know, like some of them. Like, but I've encountered that before. When you look through each paper, none of them actually support what it is that he's saying. He's just picked a tiny bit from it, extrapolated upon it, and said, this paper backs me up, when it doesn't. He's just, it's his interpretation of one point in that paper that he then applies. So, you know, we don't have time to go through all these papers. I would. If he sent me the list, I absolutely would. But I would be frustrated if he's just sending me Higgins, 1992. That would be annoying, because then trying to find the paper he's talking about, the scientific field is large. You know, it's really difficult to find a paper with just a surname and a year. It's very difficult. So, Tom, learn to use citations, like proper ones. Learn that. 2, like, why doesn't he just acknowledge, no, it doesn't talk about global temperatures? I don't know why he doesn't acknowledge that. Because he can't, right? It shows that he's being deceptive.
We did that. We experimented with that with one of the papers that he cited here.
Yeah.
Mark pulled it up last time, and we looked at it, and it said the opposite of what Tom was claiming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rule. I forget if it's rule 2 or rule 3, but every time you're dealing with a conspiracy person, a pseudoscience person, and whatever it is, check the source. It always says something other than what they said, and very nearly always says the opposite of what they say it says.
I'm sorry, what? The experts didn't say there's no use for dams as it wouldn't rain anymore. What are you talking about?
Well, I guess hence the name.
Nobody said that. They said that the incident of violent weather events would get more. Like, there would be more flooding. Because there will be more rainfall and more drought, more extremes of the spectrum. Not just no rain whatsoever. Find me a citation for that, sir. Find me a citation. Won't rain anymore?
No more rain clouds.
I mean, I'm just thinking back to when I was in school. You know, when I was in school, the experts didn't say it wouldn't rain anymore. They said that rainfall would become more extreme, more like worse in small periods, and then it wouldn't rain for ages, right?
It's like people misunderstanding that global warming is that they think that means that it's not going to be cold anywhere, and it's colder in places because for to make the entropy negentropy comparison, in order for it to be warmer somewhere, that energy has to be pulled from elsewhere. And we have things like the polar vortex and stuff that change because of that. Less rainfall in some places, more rainfall in the other, flooding in some places, drought in other places. It's more variable. It's more variable. So it's more like focused and concentrated. So places will have floods, and then other places won't have any rain whatsoever. They did not. And I want to stress this. Nobody studying climate change has ever said we won't need dams anymore. Okay, that is the kind of misinformation that we're talking about here. Like that is nonsense. That's garbage. No. Bad what? Bad. No. Wow. Okay, that's wild. That's absolutely wild.
What we'll do then? Okay, when did you send these?
I don't know. You have to look.
You don't know, all right?
Oh, do you know? You should know.
Don't
you read my emails?
I get a blizzard of emails from you, and to be honest with you, I've been very busy. Okay. I've seen.
Oh dear, he gets a blizzard of emails. Yeah, I can imagine. There's certain people that like I've had to, like for instance, Jill's one of them. I regret ever doing a debate against him, not because I didn't like kick his ass, but because he still has me on some sort of email list for his crap. Like he just like will take your email and keep sending you nonsense. I don't know what he's trying to achieve. I don't know what his problem is. He doesn't seem to understand what being a professional is. And when you give him your email to organize a debate, it's not for his mailing list. I don't know what is wrong with the man, but something is incredibly wrong with the man. But, you know, I've set up an automated function to flip him, you know, a virtual bird every time he sends me something. So that's kind of fun that I can do that. But, you know, I can imagine some of these people, wow. Jill, I think it took me over 30 emails to schedule one debate. I'm not even joking. And including, and even though it took me like 30 emails to set that up, he basically lied about the debate date and then like tried to do it on a different day. The guy there's something wrong with that man, but I can imagine some of these people, wow.
Your movie, which is what we're supposed to be talking about, and I know the theme that you're making, and I know that I asked you 3 times. And the only time when you actually sent me papers was when you gave this link to CO2 science, and all of those papers refer to the medieval warm period.
Which is part of the Holocene. It's part of the Holocene. It was warm back then. It's very important. It's the reason why people on your side are trying to get rid of
We
the
are in the
medieval warm period.
Holocene. What's he talking about?
I was just going to say, it's still the Holocene. What do you mean, my guy?
Yeah. But I love how he sort of just started to talk and he's being interrupted still. Like, you know, Tom Nelson, he cannot help himself. He's one of these people with no self-control whatsoever. Like, I get there's going to be a bit of back and forth in debate. There's going to be some interrupting to clarify and stuff like that. Totally get it. But that's way different than what Tom's doing here. And I see a lot of people do. Like Jim Bob and who's that monster? Andrew Wilson come to mind. They just interrupt in order so, you know, Peter here can't say anything. He can't get any views expressed.
Emails. We got to get rid of it because it wrecks your story. It was warm back then.
When I asked you just now to name one, the only paper you gave me, the one at the top of your list, doesn't even mention that it was warmer. And we don't even need to look at it. If you're saying, well, this is only looking at Atlantic temperatures, we don't need to bother.
Now, it doesn't mention that it was 7 degrees C warmer. I think you should have done your homework.
No, it does not. We looked through it. No, it does not. No, it does not.
And the link's down below if you want to see us look through it. Yeah.
Yep.
Why didn't your film cite these papers? Why didn't it say? Why say according to many studies when you?
Okay, it's an 80-minute movie. We can't cite everything. It's an 80-minute movie. There's no way that we can stop and cite everything. And I don't think you cite everything you said.
Like, what do you mean? There's freaking video essays here on YouTube that are 4 hours long where there's a citation to every single claim. Yeah. It may only be like a little parenthetical in the corner of the video that goes to a reference list in a separate document published on a Google site, but they cite every single thing. What do you mean you can't?
And I mean, you could just say many papers like and give sort of, 2 or 3 examples maybe, or even one example. You know what I mean? Like, it's very weird that he'd just say many papers say and not give a single example of a paper, right? Like, isn't that weird? That seems dodgy to me. Probably because he knows that if you actually get the paper and open it, it doesn't say what he says it says.
I don't think Tom's looked at any or read any of these papers. I think that whoever helped him with the movies and with the movie and stuff, someone sent him all a big stack of papers and said, "Hey, for your debate with Potholer, use these citations," and he's never even opened them.
Right.
That's my speculation, of course. Tom can prove me wrong.
Yeah. But I mean, we're seeing it ourselves, sort of what coming into the chat and saying, hey, the experts said that we wouldn't need dams anymore. Like these kind of misinformation claims, they sound very appealing, but there's actually no backing to them. There's no evidence to them. They're just these articles of faith kind of thing. I don't understand why people are spreading this kind of stuff.
Yeah, the dams one, it's a freaking meme. It's because U.S. Department of Interior has been so shortchanged for so long, and now with the Doge cuts, there's basically no funding at all. Our dams are degrading to the point that the Department of Interior is dismantling them rather than risk a catastrophic collapse and downstream floods. And so there's a meme. I guess we don't need dams anymore. No, that's not why. It's because of government bullshit. But
Okay.
it's
Well, I mean, dams do have an effect on climate. Like, they really do. Even natural dams, like you all know about the big dam that was in the Midwest of the U.S., upper Midwest, and they had that, what was Lake Missoula, was it?
Yeah, Missoula.
Huge lake.
Plains.
Yeah. And,
well, it was an iced up
a glacier dam. Yeah.
Glacier dam. Yeah.
It was but apparently it like changed the climate and landscape. Whole new faunal systems came up after it broke.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. But it's sort of, I don't know. It's kind of, anytime you're sort of, doing anything with the water, sure, it can change local climates and things like that. But
there's the key word, local. That's the key
local.
word.
Yeah, absolutely.
In your criticism of our movie, you said that you had this idea that CO2 Coalition funded the movie because I'm a director of the CO2 Coalition.
I never said that.
No, you suggested it. Okay, you said I was a director, which I am not.
No, okay. Yep. I did not say that.
So who is the director? Like he said, because I'm part. Is he part of the CO2 Coalition?
I'm looking it up now.
CO2 Coalition. Key people: Gregory Wrightstone, executive director. Let's see, are you on here, Tom? Doesn't list Tom at all in the CO2 Coalition. Not to say he doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm just looking at their wiki page, so it's pretty basic.
The CO2 Coalition's nearly 200 members contribute their time and considerable expertise in advancing our mission. Our common purpose is to inform people about the science of climate change, particularly as it relates to the beneficial gas carbon dioxide, and to correct many misconceptions that have been commonly held beliefs. Many of our members are recognized as world experts in their field of knowledge and possess advanced degrees. What the... We seek to present the truth about the benefits of carbon dioxide as a plant food necessary for sustaining all life. Well, yeah, no one's saying we should eliminate carbon dioxide. What the hell?
We need to scrub all the CO2 from the atmosphere. For fuck's sake. Wowzers.
What? The website is very slow to load. Oh, that's the members thing? Board of directors.
Let's see. While you're doing that, I'm going to read. Someone said they had a question for me about a spider. I have a close-up photo of a spider that needs reliably identified. I used to know someone on Twitter years ago. I don't use that app anymore. You know someone I can interact with somehow. I don't need other people to help me identify spiders, so I don't know who would be able to help with that. You can send it to me and I'll ID it for you. I need a location though. You can send it to me on Discord. I have a Discord server. Actually, I have a section of my Discord server specifically for identifying critters. So, yeah, if you drop it in there, even if I don't get to it, somebody will.
Yeah, so Tom Nelson shows up in the members section. Sort of, the problem is, PhD in physics, PhD in economics. I mean, come on. Are you serious? Like their list of people, it isn't climate scientists or things like that. Geologists. Bachelor of Science in Geology. I'm not. a lot of geologists in here. Tom Nelson has a master's degree in electrical and electronics engineering. He was involved in tech
engineers again.
Software for many years. In 2005, as an avid bird watcher, he became heavily involved in debunking high-profile but bogus ivory-billed woodpecker. Then a meteorologist pointed out lots of parallels between that woodpecker debate and the climate change debate, and Tom has been debunking climate change claims online almost daily since then. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this is an electrical engineer, but they've got a whole bunch of people. I mean, some are probably tangentially related, like physics. Computer scientists, all of these people look really old as well. I will say that. Chemistry, theoretical chemistry. Here's one. Peter Etherington Smith, Masters in Petroleum Engineering. Yeah, what could possibly be a conflict of interest there? What could possibly be a conflict of interest there? Chemical engineering, like people with MBAs. That's business. Oh God. But the thing that PhD in environmental science and engineering. Okay, that is at least in the ballpark of what we're talking about.
Ballpark's probably about the most we could hope for at this point.
The general biology.
I don't know about you guys, but I am a deranged perv. Just saying.
Yeah, I find that, okay, these papers that he sent through, it's probably why we're seeing like sort of tangential papers being sent through, because they seem to be, I don't see a single climatologist in here. That's the thing. I don't see any climatologists in here. Some environmental science, but that's usually around, local environmentalism, not sort of global climate. There is somebody with a master's in meteorology, which is sort of, at least related. Air Force, Joint Typhoon Warning Center at Guam. Okay. So he deals in weather, but yeah, okay. Well, they've got a few people in here, but here's the thing. Like, we usually go with the consensus of experts on the field, not like what some fringe people say. Like, so just because you've got a couple of physicists that say, hey, humans aren't causing this, doesn't mean that's what we follow. Like, this seems really weird to me. And the fact that, he's one of the experts that they've got of their 200 members that are all scientists, and his speciality is electrical engineering, that's a problem. Because when you're putting these people down, I have just as much expertise in the subject as Tom Nelson here does. That's the problem, right? Because he does electrical engineering, not climatology. This is again, I have to make the comparison to young Earth creationism, when they're like using geologists to talk about evolution, and they're using physicists to talk about geology. Like, it really is. Well, that's not your field at all. So the parallels are astounding between these two groups.
If you're going to quote me correctly, do your homework. Okay, I did not say that.
Okay, now, what did you say about it being pretty obvious what our motivations were? You used the phrase pretty obvious what our motivations were. So what did you mean by that? How did you figure that out? Did you use a peer-reviewed study to figure that out? How did you come to that conclusion? You're all about fact.
Okay, so that's his opinion. It's pretty obvious what your motivations are. If you're promoting this CO2 coalition, and part of its goal is to show that CO2 is beneficial for humans, then your motivation is to support that organization. What I want to know is, did Tom disclaim a conflict of interest in his documentary? Did he, put that, hey, this CO2 coalition contributed members or people towards the documentary? You would hope so. I don't know.
Can I, real quick, Eric Wonder, I believe I saw last night while I was out when my show premiered, that you joined the Hive. So welcome to the Hive, by the way. I just wanted to say welcome.
Yay.
Oh, did I miss something? Oh yeah, I did. Just a member for 20 months. Many papers went uncited to bring us this info. I have to. What was her name? Grand Moff or something. She was like, many papers went uncited to bring us this disinformation. She said it so sadly. I saw something the other day about how, like, if because of Rogue One, why weren't Bothans killed in Rogue One? And it's like, no, that was for the next Death Star. So tell your go away, man. Like, seriously, can someone ban that? Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah,
they keep switching accounts. It's they're really obsessed with how hot me and Ember are.
I know.
Look at these chats. Come on.
We've gotten 3 socks. Let's see how many socks they have, I suppose.
I agree. Sapphire. I really do. I agree.
You think you know about my motivations? What are they?
Have you finished now?
I want an answer.
Have you finished with your topic on the 2 graphs?
Absolutely. We're only in a topic 1. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So now it's time for my topic, which I
okay.
Let me just get the reference up here. You had Tony Heller on, and basically the claim he made was ice ages start when CO2 is at its maximum and ice ages end when CO2 is at its minimum. And he says that's the exact opposite of what you'd expect of carbon dioxide, was controlling the temperature. I'm going to share the temperature reconstruction over the Phanerozoic, which is the last 500 million years, if I can do that with my rather inadequate technical abilities. So we go to PowerPoint and slideshow, play, and then share screen. Okay, so that was the claim made in the movie. Here's a temperature reconstruction by Scotties over the last 500 million years. The ice ages you can see at the bottom in blue. You've got the Ordovician, the Permo-Carboniferous, and right at the end on the right-hand side is the one that we're in at the moment, which is the Quaternary. Now, if we compare that with carbon dioxide levels,
I kind of like that KT impact of it.
The KTM.
You see it? Yeah, it's rising up.
Impact.
Yeah. Just.
So that's when the meteorite hit, right? That's the Cotton Middle Devonian hothouse, Great Permo-Triassic extinction, late Cretaceous hothouse, and then bang. But yeah, we're apparently in one at the moment. Cooling greenhouse, warming greenhouse, hothouse. Yep. Okay.
Right at the end on the right-hand side is the one that we're in at the moment, which is the Quaternary. Now, if we compare that with carbon dioxide levels, you can see during the Cambrian they were very high on the left-hand side there. And let's put the ice ages in. 2 of them are very, very clear. You can see the one in the middle is the Carboniferous. So carbon dioxide levels drop way down to the.
And that's the one we're in now.
And that's.
Yeah. And carbon dioxide levels drop. So his thing when ice ages begin when CO2 is at its maximum is clearly untrue. That is clearly untrue.
Yeah, you see a correlation right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again,
I can't believe that now we're in and I haven't spike-a-doomed at all. I haven't put on a single spike-a-doom.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's
look, carbon dioxide up to.
You are unspiked. I know. You're completely unspiked. It's ridiculous.
Come on, Tom.
Mon Mothma. Yeah, you're right. It was Mon Mothma. Yeah. I couldn't remember.
The present, which is when we had the ice age that we're still in, that started about 2.5 million years ago. The Ordovician is a little less clear, but there's been a lot of research into that, and there was a very dramatic drop in carbon dioxide levels around that time. And this is linked to what was called the Taconian orogenies. So as you probably know, when you have mountain building episodes, you get a lot of chemical weathering, and that takes carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. It ends up in limestone. So most of the limestone we see originally was carbon dioxide in the air. The reason for the drop in carbon dioxide in the Carboniferous was the huge amount of forest that took over a lot of the planet. It was very shallow seas and marshes and swamps and so on, which buried and sequestered those trees, which is why we get most of our coal from the Carboniferous. And in the right-hand side, there you can see the decline that we've had recently during the Eocene, which is the Himalayan alpine orogeny, the building up of the Alps and the Himalayas, which again weathered carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. It's pretty clear from this. And
I wonder why they don't include the Rockies in that. Because the Himalayas and the Rockies would be the two that I think are maybe even the Andes. Of course, the Rockies and the Andes are really the same pressure event, right?
Yeah. Don't know.
That Pacific plate.
Well, do those necessarily have anything to do with carbon release?
I don't know.
Sequestering, really. Orogenies would be sequestering of carbon.
A lot of the planet, it was very shallow seas and marshes and swamps and so on, which buried and sequestered those trees, which is why we get most of our coal from the Carboniferous. And in the right-hand side, there you can see the decline that we've had recently during the Eocene, which is the Himalayan alpine orogeny, the building up of the Alps and the Himalayas, which again weathered carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. It's pretty clear from this, and I mean, I can quote you a number of papers that have been done looking at this, which concludes that the ice ages were caused by the drop in CO2 concentration.
Look at the sweet citations on everything he's showing.
Wrong.
Yeah, it's amazing he can do that on the fly live, and this other guy can't do it during a documentary. Strange.
That's
eh?
freaking hot, Potholer. Citations. Citations are like foreplay. Okay.
There you go.
It's just part of the evidence of
Can be true.
Correlation. So why did you have that in the movie?
So
why didn't you have that in the movie? Good question. Because it doesn't agree with what he says. But what he did say was that ice ages are begin when there is a maximum CO2 level. And that graph alone, with the blue on the bottom being the ice ages and the graph being CO2 levels, that is patently not true. It's patently not true, right? You've got this drop, and then it starts that. You've got the drop, and then an ice age drop, and then a small ice age that we're currently. Like, it is so evident that is 100% not true.
It's actually the opposite of what he's saying.
Yes.
Opposite. What we should see is these going against each other. Like when this goes down, that goes up. But
you have the correlation backwards. You think that CO2 drives the temperature, but the temperature drives the CO2. That's why Tony Heller said that. Oceans.
Hang on. I'll just quote you what Tony Heller said.
Yep.
Ice ages start when CO2 is at its maximum. Okay.
Yep.
Clearly, that is not the case. It was certainly at a minimum in the Carboniferous, and it was at a minimum for the ice age we're in. So that's incorrect. That's incorrect information. I'm sorry.
You're saying, let's see, what was the CO2 level during the Carboniferous? In
During
parts per million?
it was actually pretty similar to now, probably a little bit more.
So, yeah, that's why Tony Heller said that. I heard him say that in a different debate that he had with you. You went back and forth on video. And near as I can tell, he said that because of the correlation between CO2 and temperature being backward.
Ice ages start when CO2 is at its maximum, and ice ages end when CO2 is at its minimum. The exact opposite of what would occur if carbon dioxide. That is not true. That is absolutely not true. And he's showing that. He's showing it very clearly that is not true.
That because as the oceans warm, they can hold less CO2, and thus atmospheric CO2 goes up. That's what he's talking about. And when CO2 hits its maximum, then it turns back the other way, and then you get the cooling.
Whatever he was talking about, he was wrong when he said.
So is he saying that ice ages start when CO2 in the oceans is at its maximum? Because that's not what that's saying. right? Like you would expect that to be atmospheric CO2, not ocean. So that would be true if it was like the CO2 in the oceans, for instance. I don't. This is so weird. This is so weird. He's not clarifying what he means. Because he's gone to oceans, and it's like, why?
Yeah, it does sound like intentional dodging. Like instead of making it clear, he's trying to muddy the water so he can try to escape.
Yeah. Very strange behavior from this guy, because usually when scientists are talking about things, they'll go for preciseness, for clarity. Like, this is what that meant, and then try to explain it precisely. This guy's thrown out something about, oh, this guy, he was talking about the oceans, and like, what do you mean? Like, what? I don't understand what he means. I really don't.
The ice ages happen when CO2 is at its maximum. As you can see from this reconstruction of CO2 and ice ages, that is completely wrong.
So what you're arguing is that CO2 is the climate control knob, right? That's the central part of this.
Okay, yeah, and that's what I mean. He's gone to... So I'm going to straw man your position, because Potholer's position is that this statement made in the documentary is false, and we can see that here. He's going to straw man it, say, oh, CO2 is the only climate control knob, and then say, no, I didn't say that. I didn't say that in the documentary.
It's an array of knobs and levers and buttons and pulleys. It's, yeah.
But CO2 is definitely a major one. If it was a lever or a knob, it would be a big one. So
oceanic current's a big one. Yeah.
Right.
And all that stuff is factored in when they chart this stuff.
Yes.
All the other variables.
But he is making a sort of a black and white sort of fallacy. He's conflating things. He's straw manning his position and making it black and white. Either it's just CO2 or it's got nothing to do with it, right? Like, that's what he's trying to set up. Like, but that's not what Potholer is saying. All he is saying is that you made this claim, and can you acknowledge that is actually incorrect? And he can't do it. So he's got to do these really dishonest tactics, like this black and white fallacy of, well, are you saying it's the climate control knob that controls it directly? That isn't even close to what he said. So, wow, Tom, seriously, really deceptive, really bad.
What I'm arguing is that Tony Heller was wrong to say that ice ages start when CO2 is at its maximum, as you can see in front of you in this reconstruction, which shows when ice ages happened and what the level of CO2 was. I'm just saying he's wrong.
You're saying he's wrong because CO2 is a climate control knob?
No,
what does
he's wrong because, as you can see, and as geologists have concluded, CO2 was at a minimum when ice ages started. He's wrong.
When ice ages started at a minimum, okay. Yeah. So I don't know, but that's cool. When did the cooling start? When did the cooling start for that particular cool period?
Well, you can see here from the reconstruction. They started as we go into the Thermocarboniferous, and the cooling started as we go into the Quaternary. And again, cooling started as we go into the Ordovician icehouse because of CO2 going down. So
because of CO2 going down, because you're saying that CO2 is the climate control knob. You said that because?
No, that's not what he said.
And I hate the way he's framing it. I really do. Like this climate control knob. Nobody's saying that.
Yeah, like I don't have knob jewelry, only spikes, so I can't do knobs. But, you got knobs, Mark?
I can do knobs. Well, I can do
knobs.
Yeah. Okay. Look, it's complex, and like with anything, one thing can trigger another thing. Like CO2 going down may have been the trigger for that ice age. That doesn't mean it's a direct control. He is conflating these two, and again, it's this black and white. It's either entirely CO2 or it's got nothing to do with it. That's sort of what he's putting forward. And that is a mistake because, we can sort of say, hey, their performance may not have been that good because they had a cramp in their leg. And, it's like saying, oh, are you saying that the cramp in the leg is the only reason they lost the game? No, that's not what anybody's saying. Like, it's this one thing or the other. It's not, this is complex. We can't just put things in black and white But he's
right,
really trying.
That's a great example. Your star player has a cramp on their leg. Did that affect the game? Oh, it's almost certainly. But is it the only reason they lost?
It's almost certainly not.
Right.
But what we don't do is say, okay, this is one. Let's just pay attention to CO2. Right? That's not what we do in climatology, or what the experts do in climatology. If we determine the CO2, we can just determine what the temperature will be. No, there's other stuff as well. There's stuff like albedo, ocean temperatures, currents, vegetation. There is a myriad of different things that they have to look at to try and evaluate the temperature. It is this real reductionist thing of, well, if it's CO2 affects it, then it's got to be the only value. That is not what climatologists do.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
Tony Heller is wrong.
Okay.
You need to get back to what Tony Heller said in your movie that you supposedly did your homework on. He made a statement that was incorrect. You can lead it in different directions and jangle keys at me and hope I'm going to divert from.
I love that. Jangle keys at them. That is exactly what he's doing. Climate control knob, look over here. Like, don't pay attention to I included some heinous disinformation in my documentary about climate change. Look over here. No, stop. And it's really egregiously, obviously dishonest. Like, he is coming across as somebody that does not care about whether he is presenting accurate science or not. Like, I mean, he's just grinning his ass off like he's scored some kind of point. What have you scored? You've lied in your documentary and misrepresented science. How are you grinning right now? I don't get it. It's wild. To me, this is just a personal opinion, but Tom Nelson is coming across as a very dishonest person to me right now, because he is doing this dodging and ducking and diving and, are you saying it's the only thing? It's a climate control knob? No, nobody's saying that. Wow.
From this, but sorry, we're bringing this back to the statement he made in your movie, and he was wrong. Now, you can talk about to move on, we'll go on to something else, or you can keep trying to argue that somehow black is white, but you can see from the reconstruction that's wrong. And don't try and tell me the reconstruction is wrong, because that's used by climate skeptics all the time.
Oh, okay. I'm saying, yeah, let's be done with that. But I am saying that CO2 is not the climate control knob. That's the most important.
I'm finding fault with all the misinformation that was in your movie. There's a lot more of it, if we have time to talk about it, but
let's do it. Let's go beyond the 90 minutes. Let's talk about all of it. There's a related thing that you said that I want to bring up right here, right now, that you argued with Tony Heller as part of the same argument you had in the past. You said, you're arguing this is very important, and I will be heard on this. Okay. You said, we know that a similar positive feedback happened during the ice ages. Each cooling and warming phase is amplified so that a tiny bit of cooling ends up freezing half the planet, and a tiny bit of warming ends up thawing it out again. But each time something had to act as that initial trigger. So this is a central belief of yours that is absolutely wrong. It's a very important central belief. You've said this thing, not true. That just a tiny bit of warming or cooling, because of positive feedback, a tiny bit of warming just causes more and more and more until maybe the oceans boil away or something, or a tiny bit of...
He did not say that. Straw man. He did not say that. He said it thaws it again. Like, for instance, like he said that sometimes there's a trigger. Like you saw the little ice age on the KT period, right? Like where it was the meteorite that caused this sort of mini ice age. Yeah, just something triggers it. He's not specifically talking about CO2, and he never said it would warm it to the point where the oceans would boil away. So I don't know why this guy's adding that, except to, make it more implausible that a positive feedback loop can occur. But we know they can. Like, for instance, the albedo, right? The reflectiveness of the Earth. It contributes a lot to how hot it is. If it gets hotter, ice caps melt. There is less reflectiveness. The ice will reflect less and it will be absorbed by the oceans. We have studies to back this up, that they will absorb more sunlight and produce more heat. That's a positive reinforcement. I don't I find it's very odd he has to add these ridiculous claims like the oceans will boil away. Did he say that? No. Why are you adding it then?
How do oceans boil away? I don't think that's
know.
possible.
I don't.
The water is trapped in our atmosphere. It can evaporate. It can be displaced to other regions, but
yeah, I have no idea. You know, you'll start telling me that water can freeze, Bree. It's unbelievable. I mean, boil away, it would just evaporate into the air and then rain a lot.
And then fill the oceans back up with the rain.
Pretty much, yeah.
Of cooling the other way, the whole planet freezes. That's not how it works. Our planet is way more stable than that. So this whole positive feedback thing is a critical thing that you have tried to sell that is absolutely not true.
Okay, I'm finding him really dishonest. Like the entire planet will freeze. Like if he says, "Hey, these are positive feedback loops which a small trigger can cause a runaway effect," he's not saying the entire planet will freeze, nor is he saying the oceans would boil away. This is simply a straw man by this Tom Nelson guy. I don't know why he's like this. Seriously. This is really bad.
I'm going to say that again. This positive feedback thing that you've tried to sell is not true, and it's incredibly important.
Thanks for sharing your opinion. I understand you're embarrassed about the fact I've just pointed out a big mistake in your movie. You want to talk about something else, that's fine. Thanks for sharing. Now, we've only got 10 minutes. We can move on to the next topic, or we can log out now and go for the last half hour. Because we might as well, if you like, I mean, if you're done with talking about the ice ages and CO2 levels.
Yeah, I'd like to go on to UHI or all sorts of other stuff.
We can move on to your next topic, if you like. And what I'll do, log out, log back in again.
Okay.
And what's the next topic you want to discuss?
UHI, urban heat islands.
UHI. Okay. Right. Go for it, Tom.
I'm sorry. Okay, now I'm recording. Okay, next topic.
Okay, so they had to log out because they only had a certain amount of time. I believe they're using Zoom, like the free version.
Which is weird.
Look, I'm not a big fan of Zoom. I think it's a bit, it's very touchy. But they had to log back in order to get some more time on it, so that's why they're doing this. Just letting you all know.
Is UHI.
Even StreamYard's better than Zoom.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very important topic, and I've heard a lot about it because I've had a lot of people who have looked at the stations very carefully and talked at length about it on my podcast.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's critical. Anthony Watts has talked about it. Ray Sanders, Ross McKittrick, Willie Soon, the Connollys. A lot of people have talked about it. It's extremely important. And you said a lot of things in your critique of Climate the Movie that are not correct. They're absolutely not correct about UHI. Okay. You said that that the UHI affects the temperature between urban and rural areas, but not the temperature trend. No, it affects the temperature trend. Then another thing you said is that things can change. Maybe an office block can be put up with large windows. But when this happens, when something changes around an existing thermometer, of course, researchers recalibrate their equipment to compensate for this. They don't. See, it's very important that there's all these different things that can affect the temperature readings. And people who have actually gone out there have gotten out of their armchairs and gone out and looked at these stations. It's appalling how much stuff is around some of these stations that is not being accounted for. That there was a famous case where there were jet planes landing at an airport in the UK, and there was a heat record that was set right there, right while these jets were landing. So that was a huge UHI right there, and it was used to sell a whole global warming story that was caused by jets. It was not caused by carbon dioxide at all. You also argued that...
Has he got any evidence of this, or is he just going to throw it out
there?
How
he feels, Mark. His feelings are valid. Why are you trying to invalidate Tom's feelings?
Yeah, I
Not
don't
very
know.
woke of you, sir.
Yeah, but he's sort of claiming it as fact, and I'm just wondering, does he have anything to back it up? Anything at all? He just seems to be throwing out, and this seems like a gish gallop to me. He's just going on with multiple things, but we'll see how many other topics, because he's brought up sort of two. He's brought up the urban heat islands, I think, the sort of part way, and then he's gone on to the jet in England. Is he going to go on to something else?
In developed cities like Paris, there's not much UHI. It doesn't happen much anyway, because in station, the weather stations are located in parks and urban green spaces. But I don't think that part of it is true. And then there is a whole UHI island in Paris that when the wind blows, it can blow hot air from all of Paris around. So that air moves around, and the UHI is a very important thing that is not being properly accounted for.
Okay, that's actually not what I said.
What did you say?
Should do your homework.
I have it right here. I have your script right here. Do you
I've
have
got
it?
it here too. I'll read it for you if you like.
Okay.
Play you the clip.
Okay.
Because
Why don't you read what you said?
I was prepared for you misquoting me because of what you said.
Throw it down.
Nah.
Yeah, and he has seemed to misquote him already in the way that he's sort of, and egregiously so, like claiming he said that the oceans would boil and stuff. He's looking really dishonest right now because, you know, wow. Okay, let's see how bad this is.
He hasn't got it right. Okay, this is what it. They, referring to researchers, discovered that in most developed countries, the heat. Now, this is not developing countries. I'm not talking about China and Indonesia.
Right.
This is most developed countries. Most developed countries, the heat island effect certainly impacts the temperature difference between urban and rural areas, but not the temperature trend.
That is wrong. That is wrong. That is a very important thing you're saying. That is not true.
Can I finish?
Sure.
And it's a trend that's being measured. That's why we call it global warming, not global warming. Now, what I said was, this is according to researchers. Now, if you're telling me they've got it wrong, I suggest you have a debate with them, tell them why they're wrong.
Okay, so when you say...
So when he's talking about the trend, he's saying that it may add a amount of heat to that urban area because of the things that he said, like the sunlight reflecting off windows and sort of, you know, the plane apparently, which he's sort of saying increased the temperature. But what he's saying
with
is
chemtrails, I don't even know what that claim was. Is he claiming it's chemtrails or exhaust heat or?
He's claiming that the weather station was too close to the airport, so the heat from the jet jets increase the temperature, which okay, that's a claim. I'd love to see some sort of evidence of that, but basically what Potholer is saying, that even if it does add to the temperature, it doesn't change the trend, that is going to add the same amount sort of day after day. And when you get a statistical analysis of something on a large enough scale, it will accurately represent it. So the trend of how it changes is still valid, right? Like it still is a trending change. So it may affect the temperature. It doesn't affect the sort of year in, year out, the change of how that temperature goes. Because those variables that affect the temperature are constant. You know, it's going to be the same buildings there. It's going to be, it's going to be the same distance to the airport day in, day out. And when you factor for things like the law of large numbers, it will just come out in the wash. Now, it may look like the temperature is higher, but when he's saying the trend, yeah, it won't affect that, right? It won't affect it because it's exactly the same buildings there day after day. So I think Potholer's right. I think that Tom Nelson has misquoted him, but he's saying it does affect the trend. And, I'm not sure that the experts would agree with that. I don't think they would.
Researchers, which ones? Okay, is it all of them? Some of them? Two of them? How many?
The ones I cited in the video, and I'll show you if you like.
Okay.
Look, I can show you.
Okay.
Oh, Peter's citing and you're not, Tom. How do you feel, mate? How do you feel? Wow.
Right? Like he has citations, and every time that Peter asks him for a citation, he says, "I sent it to you." Then you should be able to tell us what the citation is.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're saying researchers, you're just talking about a person or two. Are you saying there's no other research that contradicts what they're saying? Because you said that also about the whole thing that CO2 is the climate control knob. And when I asked you about that,
he never said that. He never said that. That's the thing. Like, this guy is really dodgy because Peter said, I never said that it's the climate control knob, and explained what he meant. And he's just using it again and again and again. Like, stop straw manning. He never said that.
You backed away and said, oh, researchers say it. I'm not saying it. I'm just quoting researchers. Right? Same
We're
deal here?
We're jumping around a bit. We're not talking...
Well, let's talk about UHI, because UHI is a big deal. I think maybe...
Come back to what the discussion is about.
UHI, yeah, rural temperatures are warming way less than urban temperatures. Way less. It's a pretty big deal. It's a very big deal.
Okay. We're talking about the urban heat island effect.
We are. We are talking about it.
Now, let me show you the
While you're looking at that, I'm going to talk about Ray Sanders just talked about going to a temperature station, and you could back up your car, so your car exhaust is like is feet away from the temperature sensor. And these modern sensors can, if there's a breath of hot air that goes past them, it can capture that. So there's a lot of extra warming that's shown on the thermometer that is not caused by CO2. Okay. Very important.
So what I was referring to, and I cited the studies, was the ones here that show that actually the temperature trend is pretty much the same in urban and rural. Now, there's no doubt there's the heat island effect, clearly. Cities are warmer than the countryside. They have ways of, it's a problem. Of course, it's a problem, but there are ways of calibrating the equipment. It's a bigger problem in countries that are fast developing, because in most of the cities where this urban temperature equipment is, it's in parks and urban areas where you don't get the development, but you do get problems where you cite them in China, for example. They often get relocated, but then when they get relocated, they have to adjust the temperatures there. This is Vienna. Now here, what they've done is they closed the gap between the urban and rural temperature difference to show that the trend is the same. But that's not what I had a problem with. I don't have a problem with that with your movie. The problem I had with your movie was this. You showed a graph of rural temperature, and you quite correctly said rural temperature is different to urban temperature. Don't have a problem with that. And you then showed how it compares in the 1940s to today. And your exact quote, I think, let me just get it. This is your quote from the movie. You said there was marked cooling until the 70s. After that, temperatures recover, but they are still today barely higher than they were in the 1940s. And this is the graph from the movie, the reconstruction. Now, you attributed that to soon 2021. I couldn't find it, so I asked you for it. And it was one of these rare occasions where you actually gave me the paper that you were citing in the movie. It was actually not soon 2021. It was
Good job, Tom.
Soon 20.
So he gave a citation. It was the wrong citation. Good one. Good one. Oh dear. Oh dear.
20, but that's another minor slip. Don't worry about that. Okay, and so this is the link you gave me, and this is the article here. Okay, so I read this article. Oh, sorry, 2023, my mistake. See, we all make mistakes. This is his recreation of rural and urban in the thick, the solid red line, and rural only in the dashed blue line. Now, the first thing that I noted on this is that it completely contradicts what you said in the movie and what every scientist that studies this says.
Wait a minute, every scientist?
Every scientist who studies this.
Every scientist who studies this, everyone?
Every scientist who studies this says that urban temperatures are higher than rural. Are you questioning that? You said that in your movie, and now you're questioning it.
Okay, I was waiting for you to come up with some other totally preposterous thing.
Wow, you're basically refuting or denying his statement before he's even said it. Wow. Good one. Good one. I wonder why I find this guy so dishonest. I wonder.
Which you normally do about every scientist.
Hey,
sorry.
Here's an idea. Maybe let me finish a sentence before jumping in, okay? Your movie said that urban temperatures are always higher than rural. I can't think of any exceptions to that. I mean, there may be. But what struck me was that if you look in the period 1920 to 1955, according to Willie Soon, the rural temperatures were actually higher than the urban temperatures. Well, that makes no sense, but okay, it bumps up the 1940s temperatures a bit. And then on the right-hand side there, the dashed line goes a bit below the urban temperatures, as it should. So automatically that puts the 40s up a bit. But okay, it still shows a fair bit of warming, and it still shows that we're a lot warmer than the 1940s if you only look at the raw temperature data. So I was curious as to how you managed to extrapolate from that it was a lot cooler. So I'll show you your...
Yeah, how did he get that the 40s was hotter than today from that graph? How did he get that?
Imagination.
Like, even if you just take the lower side, it's still hotter. Like, what? Yeah, Jester, it was because business uses Microsoft, mate, is why they use Zoom so much. Yeah, I don't understand how he managed to get that it was hotter in the 1940s in the rural side of things. I don't understand, because that clearly refutes him.
Yeah, the lows are overlapping with the highs. Like, the coldest temperatures today are equal to the warmest temperatures then. What do you mean?
I mean, even that spike in 1930 there, it's still about the same as that one. Like the 40s is halfway in between here, so we're talking that period with these 3 spikes. Oh, my mouse isn't showing up. That's okay. These 3 spikes. So I don't. It's clearly hotter today. This absolutely debunks him. And that was the one out of the paper that he sent through.
Only look at the raw temperature data. So I was curious as to how you managed to extrapolate from that it was a lot cooler. So I'll show you your graph, and it's that. And if I put it up against the Soon graph, which you say is your source, and we've got the dates all lined up at the bottom, we've got the temperature anomaly lined up on the x-axis to make it fit. What is very obvious is they start off very nicely, but in the 1940s, your film shows these rural temperatures as being way higher than Willie Soon shows them to be. And at the end, if you look on the right-hand side to what you call now, your line of rural temperature data suddenly dips down, whereas his keeps going up. So, of course, the way that you've redrawn this, it looks as though the 1940s were only marginally cooler than now. Why did you change Soon's graph? Why not just show the original?
Wait a minute. I think you're misrepresenting what we're actually looking at here. Isn't in the 1940s and what you're showing us here, there's a dip in that dotted line towards the end, the rural only. Okay. The 1940s and that dotted line are just a little warmer. What?
I'll show it to you again. You can tell me why they don't seem to.
That's the second graph.
This is the Willie Soon reconstruction from 2023 that you told.
Okay, stop.
Wow.
That's the second time he's got caught messing with the data and claiming it's a direct citation. If you make changes...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, if you make changes, you have to own it. You have to say, yes, these are the changes we made based on whatever source that we provide for that.
So it and plus, like, these points, you know, each of these points will represent a year kind of thing, an annual temperature degrees Celsius, right? Like, that's each of these points. So if he's basically missing some of the years, missing some of the points to make it a bit flatter, like he seems to have done on the end, that's really bad. That's really bad. And like Peter says, why don't you just take the graph that they had in the paper? Like, why did you need to alter it at all? Because it doesn't show what he wants it to show. That's why.
Stop. Okay, so we're looking at the dotted line, and there's a dotted line at the right side of there that's just a tad warmer than the 1940s. What's your problem with that?
Okay.
What's your problem?
A tad warmer. Well, okay, here's the problem.
Oh, it's a little bit. Look at that.
Okay, here's the problem. When you recreate this graph, you don't show it. What you do is you create your own, and you grossly inflate the warming of the 1940s, and you underestimate the warming right at the end there, the recent temperatures.
No, we don't. No. No, it's a little, what Martin showed in the movie is it's a little warmer, maybe, than the 1940s. I don't know if I even believe that, but
it's your information. I'm not even sure if I believe it.
Citations he's arguing with now.
But you can see the trends there, and what he's done is basically he's done a graph that misses years, and so he puts points on there, right? So we can just, you know, connect them one to another, kind of thing. Like, so this top point, if you just take this top point and say this spike here and ignore the lower one, you can just go bang, right? So if you're only taking like every 2 years or every 3 years, you can make a very different curve than what we see in this one with it going up. And what they would have done is take a whole bunch of different, you know, years and points and, you know, like different intervals of measurement to see which presents the graph in the best way possible. This is basically p-hacking, right? You're basically only taking things to a certain frequency so it shows to be a lot different. But this one shows it to be a lot different than what we're having, right? Like, you're basically gone, oh, well, you know, if we just take every few years, we can have it just going up a little bit and then down instead of this massive spike in 2000 and and 20s kind of thing, where it's come down a little bit, but that happens all over the place, right? That happens all over. What we're worried about is this trend continuing. Just keep on going, and it will go up and down, right? It's like that person that brought a snowball into the Senate or whatever. It's like, just because there's variation year by year doesn't mean it's not getting hotter over a course of years. That's not what we're saying. We're not saying, hey, you won't see snow anymore, or you won't need dams anymore for some reason. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that if you follow the trend, it's going to get damn hot. The weather will get more and more chaotic, because that's what will happen. But yeah, this is so dodgy. I'm going to put a big ass sus in the chat, quite frankly, because this is frigging dodgy. So p-hacking, if you're unaware, is basically using statistics to sort of bend them to your will, if you know, by altering some of the parameters, or in this case, misrepresenting the data, essentially.
I don't know what you're saying. The 1940s were warm. 1940s were warm, and it's warm since 1970s.
If you had said in your documentary the 1940s were warm, they wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But what he said is that the 1940s were warmer, significantly warmer than it was today. And that is not true in the rural temperature. So we're only talking about the rural temperature or the dotted blue line here. But that is not the case. And instead of being, like, he's been sprung, but, you know, wow.
I don't see what your problem is.
Are you hearing what I'm saying? I think everybody can see this.
Okay, what are you saying? Say it very clearly.
Can you see the cursor? I've got the cursor running over.
Okay. So there, where the cursor is, it's kind of similar, isn't it? Willie Soon's 1940s are very close to the thing. It's similar.
It's kind of similar, is it?
It's very similar, right? Willie Soon's is a little higher than the hand-drawn graph, right? Right where it says 1940s.
Yeah, a little higher.
It's a little higher. Willie Soon's. What are you saying?
Well, no, it's a little higher and a little lower, right? Like, if you add up the data and only do it every few years, you will get a average between the two, right? So if you get, instead of doing it every year and mapping the data on a graph every year, if you're just doing it every, say, 5 years, right, and then putting your points in, okay, it's going to be an average between the highs and the lows, and that's exactly what we're kind of seeing here. Except for this part, I don't know what the hell's happening here. Like, there's something really dodgy about this whole thing, to be honest with you. It's really dodgy. But yeah, if you average them out over periods, yeah, it's going to be a more middle section. But you've also taken away the low points as well.
Right, just tightens it down.
Right. So in this one, it's going to 0 degrees. Up here, right, from 1995 onwards, it sort of, you know, we've gained, what, half a degree or something, roughly? You know, like, come on, seriously? It's so dodgy.
Yeah, so what?
I'm looking at your line. I'm asking why you changed it. Why did you not just show his graph? Why did you make this graph?
Yeah, I didn't do this. It's just a simplified graph that generally shows it warmed into the 1940s, it cooled in the 1970s, and it warmed after that. This is all correct.
Why did you use it even if you didn't make it? Why did you use it, Tom? You're trying to spin a narrative. That's why you stop where you do on your graph too.
Mm-hmm. And he's very aware that of why he did it, or why they did it. It's to smooth down those bumps, to try and make it seem like the 1940s was the same as, you know, same as now. And it's not. It's 100% not. And I have problems with this being even, and this is actually pissing me off. Like, this is misrepresenting science to an incredible degree. It really is. These 200 members that they've got, I hope they know what they're doing, because wow.
Yeah, no.
I have no idea what your problem is.
Okay, I'll explain.
Okay, so what are you trying to? We're talking about UHI here. What is your point about UHI? What actually is it? You're saying it's not a big deal?
See how he tries to change the subject? It's like, yeah, your rural representation of this data is misrepresenting the data. Oh, but let's talk about UHI. Let's talk about the heat place. Wow.
Saying jets weren't landing right by a thermometer is not a big deal, or hot exhaust on there, not a big deal. Hot tarmac, we're talking about UHI. We're talking about UHI. It's very important. We have these class 5 stations that have all sorts of warming around them. We've got pictures of Weber grills right next to a thermometer. We have all these problems.
I swear it's crap like this that makes me wish kind of that we just go ahead and live in a techocracy, right? Just let the experts take the wheel, because he's given an equal voice and he's allowed to misrepresent the science. If we lived in a techocracy, he wouldn't be able to.
Yeah,
it would be like the crime to misrepresent the science. But I know I really wouldn't want to live in that. But
well, I do like that he's kind of showing just how dishonest that they have been. I mean, it's really because we're starting to talk about why this graph isn't representative of the graph in the paper that he cited it from. Right, like he's basically changed it to be more favorable towards him. The problem now is that he's sort of going, oh, well, let's go back to this. Let's talk about anything else. He is coming across as so dishonest because he won't actually talk about the graph that Potholer's brought up, which is a problem.
With UHI, and you're saying, oh, we have experts going out there that are correcting for that. There's no evidence of that. Anthony Watt has done this huge project where he's gone out and looked and found all of these problems. Nobody's correcting. I had Daryl Richardson talking about this in Fargo in great detail. He was just on my podcast. He saw
So the thing you've got to remember about statistics, and especially something like temperature recording, is they'll have a daily temperature, right? They'll record a daily temperature. Just say somebody sets up a Weber on Christmas. Like he said, I believe that's a barbecue. Being Australian, I'm an expert on barbecues. Apparently it's in our constitution. We have to be. But just say that happens. That will be what's called an outlier, right? So outliers can influence the data, sure. But unless they're going there every damn day to set up a Weber, it's not going to have a big impact on it. It's going to come out in the wash, because that's what statistics do. So when they're taking readings like morning, night, 365 days a year, that one instance of a Weber is basically going to alter the results almost nothing, because that's what statistics does. Enough readings, and it doesn't matter if you get outliers. It will just be folded into the data, and it will come out. That's why we have some leeway of correction. Now, but this whole thing is he's setting it up like a conspiracy where nearly every single one of these stations would have to have something happening, like a plane or a Weber or somebody breathing heavily on the instrument. I don't know what he's trying to say. Like every single one, in order for this not to be picked up as a trend. Like, I don't know what the hell he's talking about, because these small instances of outliers is not going to affect the data significantly, not from the thousands of weather stations and the hundreds and hundreds of readings they make per year. It's not going to affect them. So every single point on here is going to be thousands of readings, possibly hundreds of thousands of readings from around the world, and then plotted onto the graph.
And that's not to say like an anomaly doesn't need to garner some investigation, right?
Right,
but
absolutely.
When you're doing statistics, you're looking at the overall trend, not the radicals.
Yeah, because you will get outliers, right? Any statistical study, you will get outliers. They will not impact the statistical significance of something because they're outliers. Like, it's just, if you understand how statistics work, outliers are folded in and they are compensated for by the overwhelming majority of the data. That's just what happens. So he's trying to claim that these outliers would impact the entire yearly temperature readings of every single weather station in the world. No, they're not going to. It's an absolute ridiculous sentiment to make. It's ridiculous.
Huge UHI problem in Fargo, North Dakota. Nobody corrected it. He sent emails, he called. Nobody would correct this problem. So it's a huge problem. And you're thinking that experts are fixing it for us? They're not. I don't know why they're not. But this whole idea that, oh, don't worry your pretty little head about UHI.
And the problem is also that he's talking about UHI, urban heat islands, right? So there's more heat in islands. We're not talking about that at the moment. We're talking about the rural temperature, right? So what has this got to do with the graph? Nothing, because what he's talking about is specifically the blue dotted line, which is the rural only, which Tom Nelson doesn't have a problem with. So he's just trying to, again, dangle the keys to make him, talk about the urban heat islands instead of his claim that the rural temperature shows it to be hotter in the 1940s. Which is not the case. And he's using manipulated data in order to make this claim. And Potholer is showing that very well. But him going, oh, well, let's talk about the barbecues next to the instrumentation. It's a red herring. It's a red herring.
Barbecues next to the instrumentation.
Oh, look, this is sort of conspiracy theory. And, he's sort of going on anecdote. So I called this person about instrumentation. They didn't do anything. It's like, you know what? You're a bit of a kook. I'm sorry, Tom. You're a bit of a nutter. I'm not sure I would take you seriously either. I don't know. It's very strange.
We need to worry about it because it's a big deal. If we're going to freak out about 1 degree and we're going to let UHI be, in some places, be 2 or 5 degrees, then we have a huge problem. So UHI is a huge deal.
I can always tell when I've cornered you on something because you start flying off into all kinds of different things. Now
we're talking about UHI. This is exactly our topic. This is.
No, he's right. You were talking about the rural temperature and one of the claims that you made, and instead you're going off on a tangent. Yeah, this is nice. I like it, and I love that Potholer has actually called it out. We were talking about this graph, and I can tell that Potholer's cornered him because he's talking about barbecues.
Well, barbecue lids also have a pivot. See? Yeah.
Do they though? I don't know. Weber's, I think they've got
they can pivot it.
No, Weber's are the ones.
You can just lift right up. Yeah.
Yeah. They have the big thing. Yeah. See, I told you. Every Australian has to be very well educated in barbecuing as part of our constitution. It's in there. Trust me.
Barbacology, or what do you call it? Barbaconomy? Barbacology.
Yeah. Barbecuology.
There you go. You get to coin the term because you're coming up with it.
Yeah, I know. I should have done better.
Yeah. But one of these days you should do a stream on all the different things that Australians are required to learn about. Like you have to learn how to swim. You have to learn about barbecues. There must be more, and I'm sure it's a fascinating topic.
Oh, I know a fun fact about barbecues. Did you know that the original term for a barbecue or barbacoa is talking about cooking human flesh?
Yeah.
On wooden slats over an open fire?
I did not know that. Maybe I'm not an expert on barbecuing. Barbecuological studies. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will hand in my Aussie card forthwith. No, Potholer wasn't gaslighting. What did he gaslight about? Like, I don't understand. What did he gaslight about? Please tell me, because I don't know. Don't tell Mark I don't. Look, I don't own a barbecue either. I'll be honest with you. You have to learn about danger animals.
But Reggio's here. Hi, Reg.
Hi, Reg.
Yeah.
It's right on the topic.
Long pork. I haven't eaten long pork. I understand it tastes like bacon, or at least ham, but
no,
I haven't tried.
I just want at least one spike of doom before I get done here.
I can't guarantee that. He seems to be more focused on the knobs than spikes at the moment.
Today's knob day. Last week was spike day. I got all my spikes in super early on the last stream.
Oh, I love that little photo, bogan chops. Yeah, I love that. We were talking about the UHA. No. Potholer's the one on the left, Peter Hatfield. Tom Nelson's the one on the right. So I think you're mixing them up, Alex.
Okay,
Now
I'm not flying off. I'm talking about UHI. I don't know what you're talking about.
Now
But I'm talking directly about problems with UHI, and they are huge. Okay.
Now I'm going to take back to what I criticized of your film, which was that you have represented that as being a recreation of the Willie Soon graph. I'm just going to show it to you again. And that's not. That's a drawing that someone in your graphics department made, and you don't seem to be aware of it. Fine. I'm sure you weren't implicated in doing this. You let them get on with it. But what they've done is that they've changed the graph. They've got.
So what? How would you like that graph to look? You just want to use the Willie Soon's graph.
I cannot get over the 40s, the peak that he has on here. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
How dishonest this graph is.
Yeah, you could just use the graph that you got from the paper instead of changing it. It takes more work to change the graph than it does just to use it straight out of the paper and cite it, which I'm sure Willie Soon would be fine with as long as you provide a correct citation for it.
Yeah, that's what it is for. Is hey,
Right.
Look at the thing. That's why they published the damn thing.
I'm just saying it would take more work to change it to the one you have. So my question is, why did you do that work? Why did you change it at all? And that's what Peter's asking. That's what Potholer is asking. Why did you change it instead? And he's like, oh, you just want me to use the graph from the paper? Yes. Yes.
It doesn't
you don't
matter.
want a simplified graph.
It doesn't matter to you then that they claim this is a graph by Willie Soon and then they just draw something completely different.
It's a hand-drawn version of it, but what is the lie there?
It's a hand-drawn version? Oh, yeah, I just eyeballed it. What? Look, if that's
I just doodle. It's fine. It's very scientific, though.
If someone eyeballed and hand drew that version, they need to get their eyes checked, quite frankly, because that is like, I get what they've done. They've basically taken only certain years and then connected the dots, but it looks vastly different, and that's a problem.
What's the difference? It's 1940s. It's showing generally what the graph shows. So I don't know what your problem is. You're using this to try to argue that UHI isn't a big deal. That's your argument. We're talking about UHI, and you're just.
He didn't say that. He didn't say, again with the straw man. Are you saying that UHI isn't a big deal? He never said that. Wow, he really is cornered, and it seems like the more he gets cornered, the more aggressive he gets, kind of thing. You know. Like, okay, if it was me, I would say, hey, this is a simplified graph, right? And it may not exactly represent the graph in Soon's. What is he doing? Wow.
Worried about, oh, this graph is simplified. And so then let's not worry about UHI. It's a huge deal.
So you're saying it's generally what he did, but it's not a reproduction of what he did.
No, it's not a reproduction. It doesn't show every little fluctuation.
There you go.
No graph we have shows every little fluctuation. There's tons of graphs being used. XKCD, they don't show every fluctuation.
So he's referring to XKDC, a webcomic, to show why he changed the graph.
A webcomic, of course. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense.
So instead of, so he's obviously changed the graph so that it is more favorable to him. He hasn't reproduced the graph from the paper. It is incredibly dishonest. I will say that. And, you know, he's trying to make excuses for it, essentially. And go to you, like, nobody's saying that UHI is not a big problem and it should be considered. But we're talking about just the rural temperature here. No. It's the other way round, Jester. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge an argument. That's how they train.
I've been doing this wrong this whole time.
They've been throwing wrenches at Tom Nelson, and you know maybe they've hit him in the head once too often.
Fluctuation. No.
As you can see from the 1940s, it's showing the temperature as being a lot higher than is represented in Willie Soon's graph.
No, it's not. It's not showing that. Look at the dotted line.
On the right.
No, not the maximum, right? He's not talking about the maximum temperature. he's talking about the average temperature, right? Like, because you get these spikes which are outliers, sure. They're like, you know, an occasional year that's very hot. But that doesn't mean that the average temperature along this section here doesn't mean that it's higher, right? So we see the average temperature in the 1940s going along here is a lot lower than the average temperature in modern day going along here. That's what he's saying, and that's very evident from Soon's graph. But what you've done is you've changed it so that the temperature is way up here, which is just terrible. Just terrible.
The right-hand side, you'll see that the dashed line, which is raw temperatures, goes up. Yours goes down and then stays flat. So it's not a reproduction of what
Willie Soon's graph. That dotted line goes down at the end, right? So I don't know what you're seeing, but
I'm happy to let people who are watching see this, listen to
absolutely. But I don't want people to see this and go, okay, UHI is not a big deal, and we can let exhaust flow on the thermometers. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. Yeah.
I'm sure people can see the point. I won't explain it to you because I've explained it 3 times and you don't get it. Okay, or you say you don't get it, but the fact that you're trying to move the conversation.
So do you get this idea?
Yeah, I agree with Potholer. The fact that he's trying to move the conversation somewhere else shows that he does get it. He does, you know, understand that, hey, this is looking pretty dodgy. I want to talk about something else. And I think that that's pretty evident from watching it.
That we shouldn't let the hot exhaust blow on the thermometers or hot tarmac.
Here we go again.
Do you? This is UHI. No, this is UHI. It's urban heat island. This is my topic, and we're talking.
This is my topic. Yeah. Okay.
It's my topic, and I want it now. Call J.G. Wentworth.
Okay, I would say yes.
A U.S. comedy reference.
Yes, but that does not change like the trending data, because even if exhaust flows on it for a certain point, it doesn't change the trend. It really doesn't. It's really wild. It's really wild. Because the thing is that we've got rural temperature as well. So let's ignore the hot. It still is going up with the rural temperature. And they're going, the trend is essentially the same, as you can see in this graph, right? You can see that the trend of the rural, and while it is slightly hotter on the urban, it doesn't affect the trend, right? So his point is completely invalid.
Talking about urban heat island. What is your problem?
You want to defend your movie, and these are the criticisms I had in the movie. So I'll explain to the people watching this.
Heat islands. I guess the rest of the video is about urban heat islands.
Is it?
Pretty much, yeah. That's the last topic they cover.
Well, for a start, I'd ask, do you have any evidence of this happening? Like, do you have any evidence that there is a prolonged heat affecting the trend, not just the total temperature? I really would like him to back up his claim. Because he seems to... Well, he seems to be going to, oh, this one person told me there was a Weber next to the instrumentation, like a barbecue. You know, that isn't really evidence. That's you know, a claim by somebody. You
have to show that barbecue was going every time that they were taking measurements, too.
Or at least enough that it would be of statistical significance on the study, right? So
yeah, how close was this grill to the instruments? That's crazy.
And I might add that this is his citation. This is Tom's citation. So if he's saying, hey, the urban temperature is inaccurate because of all these things, well, you're attacking your own citation, sir. You're attacking your own source.
This is not a reproduction. If you're going to reproduce a graph, you have to reproduce it accurately. You can't just generally reproduce it, but well, it goes almost like that, and that's about right. And then from the drawing that you've made, which has a grossly inflated 1940s temperatures and a deflated temperature.
No, it does not. It does not. Then it absolutely does not.
Very small.
Nope. It does
not. That was the problem I had with that.
Okay.
One.
Okay, so how about, are you defending your lies that you talked about? Oh, if there's a problem, researchers recalibrate their equipment. Are you saying that's what's actually happening? Because that's actually what's not happening. And it's very important. That is not happening. I have tons of examples of people talking on my podcast in great detail about these huge problems that are not being fixed. So you're saying they're being fixed. I'm saying they're not being fixed. And how about this issue of ghost stations? Ray Sanders talks about ghost stations where stations are reporting data. Day after day, they're reporting data, but you go there and there's no station there. What is going on? Up to maybe 30% of these stations in the UK are ghost stations where they haven't had a temperature station there, but they're making up the data. Okay, they're just okay. If there was a station there, this is what the data would have been. Are you defending that practice?
Oh my! Where's the evidence for that? Is it because he couldn't find it?
I don't know. I mean, I don't. So when we're talking about temperature readings, there's a whole bunch of different sites that are doing it. And they might not be just a meteorological site kind of thing. Anything that can take an accurate temperature reading is fine. So it may be just a sensor bundle put on somebody's farm or something, right? Like it's not necessarily a massive, weather station kind of thing. I don't know. So he's claiming hundreds of ghost climate stations. Okay, the only place I can find anything about this is from CO2 Coalition, the people promoting CO2 as good for us. And this guy is a member of, by the way. He claims that there's ghost stations. Increasing number of USHCN stations don't. I don't. Yeah, I have no idea what he's talking about, but I would love to have some evidence for this, because this sounds like a conspiracy theory, right? It really does. Let's see. I've got surface stations in the US. I mean, where is he? I have no idea what he's talking
about. He said the UK, but
UK.
I don't know what his expectations are.
It actually started, the first time I ever heard about it was on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. There's all these ghost stations. If you triangulate the signal and search back, there's no tower there. It's freaking ghosties and shit are sending signals. And the number stations, and although there are real number stations, but that's a whole other topic. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. Mothman runs an invisible radio station in the spiritual plane, broadcasting Satan's algorithms.
Yeah,
love it.
Yeah, yeah. This is kind of weird. I mean, on the website it talks about USHCN stations, so that's definitely US. So now he's claiming it's Great Britain. Where is the evidence for this? Hey, OE, I haven't seen your debate yet, mate. I definitely will watch it.
Because that's an actual thing. It's just not in the UK. It's made up data. And I think that gives people way too much latitude to make up data that fits whatever they want it to say. That's a huge problem with the making up of data. And that's a problem with the hockey stick as well, that they carefully selected the proxies because they had an answer in mind and then they made the data. They fudged the data until they got the answer they wanted. So that's a huge problem with the ghost stations. Are you?
And Left-Handed Jedi for $2 says, it is a theory, a conspiracy theory, and everyone's in on it. Left-Handed Jedi, I think you're in on it. That looks like.
We're all trying to trick Tom with our ghost stations. This is a ghost YouTube channel. We're not. If you go to Mark's house, there's not even a broadcasting there at all.
I know. I bet I'm not even really bald. This is just an AI representation. I bet I don't even exist. Australia's not real.
The secret VTuber.
None
of you even knew.
Of all the profiles I would have chosen. Seriously though, like this is right up there with sort of, flat earth conspiracy stuff. Is there stations that are unmanned? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Maybe they just use sensor bundles. Sure. That doesn't mean they're not real. Doesn't mean the recordings they do are not real. Oh, dear. Wow. Wow. Hey, Al. Good to see you, mate.
Defending ghost stations. Now you're defending measuring temperatures right next to a jet plane exhaust.
No, what I'm doing is pointing out that your movie did not reproduce the graph in the way that it was originally.
Okay. All right. So you don't want to talk about UHI at all. That's what you're telling me.
As a result, well, you keep asking me what I'm saying, so I'm happy to tell you.
I'm talking about what you said. You talked about this stuff about researchers compensating. That's what you said. Are you defending that? Yes or no?
Sounds
like you're not.
No, I'm saying
you're not defending
that you did not reproduce that graph accurately. You inflated the 1940s temperatures. You deflated the temperatures in the 21st century. Drew your conclusion from that, and that was a June paper. Anyway,
all right, bullshit.
So that was another criticism.
Wow. Okay, he's getting really, really nasty. You know, calibrations for stuff, yeah, they definitely will do sensor calibrations. Whether that will eliminate it entirely? No, of course not. Of course not. You're always going to have outliers. That's just a fact of statistics. You always will. Will it have a statistical impact on the data? No. Unless you're getting, you know, hundreds of people every day to set up a barbecue besides these, we're talking about 1 or 2 instances, and they are important. Like, it's important to try to get the most accurate readings. But if one comes through that's an outlier, it's not a big deal. It will get wiped out in the wash. It just will. So, yeah, that's not to say it's not a big deal. We want accurate recordings, but he's trying to make it seem like, oh, we can't trust any of this data because someone set up a barbecue next to one.
I mean, that's what I do. Whenever I find a weather station, I get one of those portable camping grills with the propane, and I just take the propane tank and turn it into a torch, and I just barbecue the freaking sensors.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I've just been sitting on them.
that would be easier.
Where you live, temperatures should be cooler than what they currently are. Well, yeah. But even if it was, like, what we should expect from climate change is more extremes. It should be that there's more climate events, and that's what we're getting. We got tornadoes. Now, I want to stress, we don't get we're not in a tornado location, and this year a couple came through, and we're on a coastal area. Okay, it's wild. The weather's getting really wild, and there's other people that have noticed it. Predominantly insurance companies have noticed it. Weather is getting worse and worse, and that's exactly what we should expect. So yeah, it may be, you know, sort of temperatures should be cooler. In the winter, temperatures may actually get cooler than what they should be, because it's the instability of the climate that we're talking about. Yeah, so what he said, and what Potholer probably should be doing, is saying that, hey, we're aware of heat islands, they don't affect the trends. And he's right. Like, because when you have like heat provided by a city, it will be a consistent amount day by day, except for an outlier where somebody apparently barbecues a steak on a sensor. I don't know why, but apparently this is what they're doing. You know, and because it's daily, it won't actually affect the trends. So if a heat, you know, sort of a sensor is providing, you know, 0.00 or 0.01 degree, okay, let's be generous, it will be like that day after day, and the trend will be the same. So atmospheric heat will, you know, increase that as well as the heat from the city. So it's not a problem, but I think Tom's muddying the waters as much as possible, you know, like as much as possible to say, oh, so you're saying it has no impact on it. Never said that. So you're saying it you know, we don't have to check and recalibrate it. He never said that. It's this the constant straw manning that has got me. It is obnoxious. It really is.
Criticism I have of the movie. So there's two, and a statement that were wrong.
Actually, let's talk about extreme weather. I noticed that you didn't mention extreme weather at all. What do you think about that? Is the weather getting worse? So there's a whole idea that we have to do this because the weather is getting worse. Is it getting worse? We talk a lot about that in the movie, and you were strangely silent on that. Do you think hurricanes are getting worse? Does CO2 cause bad weather? Pretty important.
I think it's my turn for the last topic.
Okay, so you're not going to answer?
Tom,
you want to talk about
Tom, you wanted to talk about your movie.
That's in the movie. Extreme weather's in the movie.
And all of a sudden, when I start actually delving into the details and showing you what you got wrong.
Wait a minute, this is me.
Talk about the weather. Talk about the weather. No, I'm going to...
It's in the movie, my friend. It's a key part of the movie, and you're avoiding it because I think you know that CO2 doesn't cause bad weather. You're avoiding...
No, not by itself. No. There's so much variability in there. And just because you're getting good weather where you are doesn't mean that the overall weather inside of the globe isn't getting worse. Like, we're seeing more and more incidences and more violent weather events. More floods, more fires.
As everyone knows at this point, I live in New York State, and we had 6 confirmed tornadoes this year. We don't get tornadoes. Ever.
Yeah.
And we had 6 this year and 2 last year, and know, the weather's going fucking crazy.
Incidences of drought is increasing, especially near the equator. It is an overall effect that we're not, like, just because you aren't experiencing storms doesn't mean that the weather over the climate isn't getting a lot more wild. I mean, talk about flooding. We've had instances of flood over in Queensland that has been devastating, and we've not seen its like ever. And that's, add up the floods in Japan, the floods in the islands of the Pacific, and those are just the ones in my area, like Texas floods. When was the last time Texas was flooded?
Like July?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah. But before that, I mean, is it normal for Texas to flood? Is my question.
Well, Texas is
right?
huge
No, I don't think that's normal.
Yeah. So I don't know sort of what he's talking about. Yeah. So just from there's a Red Cross saying. Flash floods are common in Texas, but that scale of disaster is kind of something they haven't seen before. Okay. So they do flood, but usually they're flash floods and not, a full-on flood.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of flash flood warning zones and ditches, for lack of a better term, that they've carved in order to try to control flash floods in areas that are prone to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a different thing. That's just sudden goosh of water and then it passes.
Well, it's kind of weird because I thought Tom's point was that, hey, temperatures are getting higher, but it's not due to man-made events, right? It's not due to carbon dioxide and things. But he seems to be arguing that even the temperature's increasing now, which usually these climate skeptics or these climate change deniers don't do. They say, oh, yeah, it's getting hotter, but that's perfectly fine. And
it's good, actually. Plants love it.
Right. Which, living in a hot country, I would vehemently disagree that that's a good thing, quite frankly. Vehemently. I don't...
They don't think about desertification and flooding and things like that as a result of it getting hotter. That doesn't correlate in their brain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's because usually they live in cold areas and they go, hey, it'd be great if it was a bit hotter, I'd have a good summer, not understanding that elsewhere in the world, people are going to be dying of heat and heat stroke. And there's problems with clean water. Water evaporation is going to be a problem. There's so many problems. But as long as you're okay, right? As long as you're fine.
Oh, yeah, and long-term problems. Again, in my local area, winters have been milder overall, but they're lasting a lot longer, and it's starting to cause crop failures, even in really long-term stuff like apple orchards, because you know, it'll still be winter for another 6 or 8 weeks after the apples want to blossom.
Right.
By the time it's warm enough for the blossoms to open, the season's already passed and they just never bloom that year.
Oh, and there's other things like malaria is increasing in incidence because there's less ice. As the ice goes down, mosquitoes, they don't like the cold, but their size of their areas that they can breed in is increasing because of less ice. That sucks. That really sucks. So we know these things are happening, like from all kinds of
species, like where I don't live there anymore. Where I came from in northern Missouri, there's armadillos there now. There's never been armadillos there before.
Right.
Animals are migrating to warmer climates. We are seeing the results of this. It's not speculative.
More northern climates because they're warmer. Yeah, mosquitoes are another thing. We don't have malaria up here yet, but we're getting massive outbreaks of all kinds of rare tropical diseases like Zika and some that aren't tropical, like Eastern equine encephalitis, which we get like 7 cases a year in the 90s, and now there's thousands of cases a year.
Right. Yeah. It absolutely changes the vectors of infection of tropical diseases. Absolutely.
Avoiding this topic. It's a major topic in the movie. You don't want to talk about it because it blows your whole case out of the water. The weather is not getting worse. CO2 can't be making it worse because it's not getting worse. But you don't talk about that. It blows your story right out of the water. Why do you not talk about it? We're talking about the movie. I'm defending it. And you're so silent on this one topic. Why? Why are you so silent?
Why don't you want me to go to my last topic? What is it?
Because I don't want you to avoid this important topic about my movie.
Are we
and
done?
You're avoiding it because...
Are we done with the topic now?
No, I'm saying that catastrophic human-caused global warming is the most massive scientific fraud in human history. And you're avoiding this very important extreme weather topic because it blows your case out of the water.
What evidence does he have that the extreme events aren't getting worse? Every single meteorological institution has said that we're getting more violent and more incidents of catastrophic weather events. I don't know what he's talking about. As well as more fires, like I
like just the claims upon claims upon claims. Like he's not just denying climate change. He's denying the human component of climate change. And then he's on top of that, he's saying it's the biggest fraud, conspiracy, whatever, ever. Like, ever? Really? Like, I mean, okay, so let's take all the conspiracy theories, like moon landing denial.
Right.
Okay, that one probably doesn't have that much impact
Illuminati.
on life, But yeah, like or Tartaria, like if there's
Tartaria.
Educate me. What
and shit.
What?
Like,
what is Tartaria?
Oh my gosh. Tartaria is a conspiracy theory that so there was a reset in 1776.
Okay.
And after that, people had to establish society. There was a big mud flood. The cities in the New World and North America, South America, and Australia, all of our buildings were not built in the 19th and early 20th century. They were dug out of the mud. They had to repopulate. It actually had to repopulate the society with Cabbage Patch babies because they didn't know how to breed because they forgot how to breed at the reset, which the Catholic Church is somehow responsible for. But we're not going to get into that.
Of course.
You want proof? Basement. Look, buildings have basement windows, Mark. I don't know what else to tell you.
Why wouldn't
it's very
they?
Suspicious.
What?
It's a huge thing.
There's a lot of stuff to it. Star forts. We didn't get into the star forts, but
oh yeah. Okay. The evidence. Have you ever seen a basement window? Yeah. Okay. That's weird.
Yeah, why would
That's
you
so
build a
weird.
window in the basement? Those were clearly first floor windows, but now they're basement windows because it's a post-flood world or post-mud
I
flood
was
world.
thinking like the greatest conspiracy, like Illuminati that are running the world and just pretend to, you know, have governments and, you know, social services and things like that, or maybe Mandela effect, maybe like that we've been switched to a different world. That's pretty I don't know. I don't know.
Tartari is probably up there with it's flat Earth level.
Right. Yep. It's a form of Russian nationalism. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. No, I'm not a big fan. I'll tell you that right now.
It's just nonsense.
Which it does.
Though.
Sorry.
It's just nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah.
A bunch of correlation without causation.
Mm-hmm.
Weather's not getting worse. You don't want to talk about it. Are droughts getting worse globally, floods, etc.? They're not. You don't want to talk about this topic.
Where is the citation for this? Like, who's agreeing with this? Floods are getting worse. Bushfires, or, you know, wildfires, I guess you guys call them, are getting worse, right? You know, don't believe the hype that California just didn't rake its leaves. That is not true. Like, did you see the firestorm in California? It was
freaking city burned down.
Insane. Yeah, I mean, we have Ash Wednesday where, like, basically the same thing, like a city almost burnt down. Like, seriously.
I have a few friends in California who started saying, we used to have a winter and sometimes there would be fires. Now we have a fire season.
Yeah.
Because it's so strong on our side. It's so important that CO2 does not cause bad weather. Why don't you just say, if you believe it, why don't you just say CO2 causes bad weather? We can put a pin in that. Okay? Do you believe it?
Okay.
Okay, you're laughing.
He keeps trying to force him to say that. That's not anything he's ever said.
And it's a straw man. We're not saying CO2 directly caught, like, you know, if you pour, you know, if you shoot CO2 onto a hillside, suddenly there's bad weather. That's not what we're saying. We're saying that the climate change causes bad weather. One of the main causes of climate change is a massive upswell of CO2 in the atmosphere. That's what we're saying, right? But he just wants to simplify it down to a black and white thing. CO2 causes bad weather. No. And it's just a straw man. It's just trying to make it sound ridiculous. It's as bad as Hovind, right? I don't see
it. You're related to a strawberry?
Exactly. That's what
it is. That's the level of rhetoric we're at.
Yep.
Think about the weather. It's so British. Look,
talking about the weather. There's a $50 trillion scam based on the idea that CO2 causes bad weather. $50 trillion. They want to control every bit of our lives because CO2 makes the weather worse. And you don't believe
every bit of our lives.
He says weather instead of climate, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, conflating things is part of the shell game. You know, like mixing up climate change with human-caused climate change. Like, you can have one without the other.
Yes.
Trans people and drag queens.
Yep. To them, it's all the same, you know?
Believe it. You don't even want to talk about it. I think it's very important that you do not want to talk about it. This very important issue. You want to talk about, the 1940s, whatever. But the whole bad weather thing is so important. You don't get part of this $50 trillion. None of this money gets dispersed. None of this power and control happens if people figure out that this whole thing is a scam, which it is.
Carry on ranting.
Okay.
How is it that they control every aspect of your life if they're basically saying, hey, we want to switch to reduce our CO2 output, plant more trees, use electric vehicles? How exactly is that controlling every aspect of your life? Exactly. I don't understand how he gets from one to the other. If every aspect of your life is working in a coal power plant, then maybe you'll have a point. But I doubt anybody that's the entirety of their life. They're not actually really suggesting that your life changes much at all. What they're more suggesting is doing things on an industrial scale. Because here's the thing, an individual consumer does not produce that much CO2. It is the industrial refinement of stuff that really produces a lot of it. right? Like it isn't suddenly this oh well, they want you to not want to breathe or use a mask for something. That's not what they're saying.
And that was one of the issues, right?
What's that?
The using wearing a mask, for instance, is a example.
Conspiracy thing.
It's trying to convince you that other people are lying to you about things. It's about trying to build this whole narrative that you're being strung along to make money somehow, when it's almost like the situation where this like every accusation is a confession. Yeah.
Well, I think that this guy, I would bet money, and I don't know if this for sure, but I'd bet money he's an anti-vaxxer and a anti-lockdown person kind of thing, because I hear the same rhetoric from those people. They'll say, "Oh, Australia locked up its population for the pandemic." No, we had lockdowns and they ended. Oh, they're just doing it to control you and they'll never let you out. But they did. And most people were in favor of it because it saved lives. It's this whole conspiracy idea of they're out to get you, and you can't do anything for anything they say is wrong. Look, don't trust your government. I get it. Like, I don't trust my government 100%. But if they tell me not to eat paint chips because they've got lead in them, that's something you should listen to. And this isn't just one government. Like, when you have independent scientists saying it as well, like, come on. But you have to believe, like Tom Nelson does, that everybody is lying. The governments are lying. The activists are lying. The scientists are lying. Everyone's lying.
And it's all coordinated.
And it's all coordinated, except for one small group of individuals that have inexplicable ties to the fossil fuel industry, which a new industry would replace. For some reason, I can't imagine why.
It's a mystery.
Yeah. Like, I hate to break it to Tom, but being a scientist for the fossil fuel industry and saying, hey, there's no problem with CO2 makes a lot more money than being a scientist with an independent institution saying, hey, climate change is real. One of them makes a boat ton of money. Can you guess which one?
Oh, yeah. I'm driving around the U.S. In West Virginia, for example, there's often billboards saying something like, solar panels make China rich, but raise your electric bill. And at the little bottom of the billboard, it'll be paid for by Coal Miner Owners Association or whatever.
Right. It's pretty wild.
Carry on ranting for a bit while I come on to my topic. I'm just going to look.
Okay, so yeah, CO2 is not the climate control knob. The weather's not getting worse, and the Earth is not too hot. The whole idea it's too hot right now, at maybe 15 degrees centigrade, it's crazy because cold weather kills way more people than hot weather, and warm periods have always been known as climate optimums.
Are you factoring in all the violent weather, like the floods and the droughts and all of that kind of thing? Starvation.
Extinctions.
Wow.
Not even a chance.
Not even a chance. So he's basically saying more people freeze to death in cold climates than they do have heat stroke in warm climates. And that's probably true. But that's not the only problem with climate. We're not worried about people getting heat stroke. We're worried about having no crops and like entire populations dying. We're worried about rising sea levels and islands that aren't there anymore. Like, we're seeing climate refugees. There's a group of people from an island. Their island is now underwater. They are the first climate refugees. And there will be more. As these islands in the Pacific, basically as the sea level rises, they're not islands, they're underwater sandbars. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So this is this simplification down to, oh, more people freeze to death than have heat stroke and die. So fucking what?
That has nothing to do. what we're talking about, right?
Absolutely nothing.
Winds and life on Earth do better in warmth. When we retire here from Minnesota, we go someplace warm. When we vacation, we go someplace warm. We're a tropical species. We die outside at temperatures that are not that cold because we're a tropical species. Warmer is better. CO2 is better. CO2 is great for plants. The planet is greening because of CO2. And greenhouses, when you want
no, that deforestation, I wouldn't say greening. I think that deforestation would outweigh that just slightly. Just slightly. But, you know, I mean, everything's centered around himself. Like, oh, we're in Minnesota and it's cold. We go somewhere warm for holidays. So it must be. Yes, but the people in Australia. So you're basically saying, hey, it's great we can make Minnesota really warm so I don't have to go anywhere. Yeah, that's great. What happens to us?
Yeah, like climate refugees, you mentioned. The nation of Tuvalu is in negotiations with Australia, in fact, to take its entire population because the entire fucking country is going to cease to exist sometime between now and 2050.
Yep.
Like, they're losing ground so fast. They're talking about doing things like having a digital nation because the refugees will be scattered and they want to try to maintain some kind of cultural identity.
And I support that. I think it's wonderful, and I would be in 100% support of getting them into Australia. But at the same time, if we could slow that down and somehow prevent it, maybe that would be optimal. That would be optimal. How we do that, I don't know. Like, there's some very smart people working on it, but the issue is, how do we solve a problem that we don't acknowledge? How do we solve a problem that we are denying exists?
Well, stick your head in the sand harder and just keep getting it in there deeper, and eventually the problem will stop being a problem.
Fair enough.
I mean, eventually you'll suffocate because you can't breathe sand, but that will technically make the problem no longer be your problem.
No, that's fair. It'll be somebody else's problem. It's the philosophy of I'm all right, thanks, Jack.
The plants to grow very well, you add additional CO2 in there. The whole idea that CO2 is a pollutant and we should fight CO2, completely crazy. This is one of the most stupid scams in the history of mankind, and it's dying right now. It's absolutely imploding in front of our eyes right now.
I'm sorry.
He's just ranting.
Yeah, he's just ranting. And like, for CO2 to be a pollutant, yes, it is. Like, so, yes, plants do better with lots of CO2. Yes. You know who doesn't? Humans. We don't. In fact, the buildup of CO2 it kills us. You know, if you want to add to your statistics how many people die of suffocation there, that's fine, fantastic. And no, I'm not saying that, hey, we're gonna suffocate. That's not what I'm saying. But it causes problems. Sort of saying, hey, it's good for plants, therefore it's good for humans. That is a non sequitur. It does not follow. It doesn't.
Yeah. Remember, animals were created to be an air filter for plants. The plants don't care.
The plants don't care. Yeah. Yeah. And there's some problems being caused because not all plants are friends. Okay, remember that. And I'm really talking about the algal blooms here, which are a massive problem. As CO2 gets higher, they thrive more. And they can absolutely destroy, like, sources of clean water, for instance. And they are sometimes very toxic. Like there's a red algae bloom in South Australia in the ocean. Fucking toxic. Okay, as the CO2 increases, they love it. So just because plants are flourishing does not mean that good for humans. Some plants very bad for human. So, you know,
there's plants that need that need a seasonal cycles and a cold winter.
right.
Corn, for instance, one of our staple crops. Plants need an overwintering period, and while it seems like, green areas might be broadening, the areas where you can grow certain cereal crops are getting smaller. Yeah, desertification leads to less area for crops as well.
I don't know, Aunt Jer, but all plants are predatory. Well, not all plants, but like if you've ever seen sort of what was it? Was it Life in the Undergrowth? I think it was. Which was the one? It was an Attenborough one where they basically sped up the plants. They're incredibly hostile. Like you'll have plants strangling one another and attacking one another, and it's just so slow that you don't see it. But they're really vicious. Like you will have two plants side by side, and they will try to choke one another out and prevent them from getting the sunlight and nutrients. Absolutely vicious. That documentary changed my evaluation of plants altogether, especially things like ivy, which grows up walls and stuff. It will choke another plant completely. It's really bad. It's really bad.
A lot of vining plants are like that. Vines are vicious.
Yeah, well, that's because we've sort of bred these crops for, the climate that we've had, and if we change it sharply, it doesn't do well. That's the thing. He's just going, oh, more CO2 equals more plant growth equals better plant growth. That is not necessarily the case. It's not necessarily the case. And as I said, with algae blooms and things, it also gives us more of the plants that we don't want. So yeah, it's a problem. It's definitely a problem.
We're getting out of it. It's happening. It's dying, and I'm loving it.
I shouldn't have given you scope for ranting, because obviously you can go on forever and ever.
Hey, you told me to do that. You said while you were trying to figure something out, I should do it. Thank you for giving me the chance.
No, that's all right.
No, this is very fun. I appreciate this.
On to my third topic. I wasn't sure that we'd ever make it this far, to be honest, but this is a very quick one, because you had Shaviv on talking about galactic rays.
Yep, cosmic rays. He doesn't say galactic rays. I don't know where you're getting that. He says cosmic rays.
Galactic rays.
He says cosmic rays.
Cosmic rays. Well, I mean, they're a thing, but what's his point?
It creates the Fantastic Four.
But apparently so. Maybe it's that CO2 blocks more cosmic rays. Maybe.
I mean, it does, as opposed to not having CO2, but there's better things for it, like a magnetic field, for instance.
Ozone.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. There's so many it depenses, but I mean, we get more variation depending on what's going on in the cycles of nearby stars or distant supernova than we get from variation in our own atmosphere. It's a complicated system, but technically speaking, more CO2 means less cosmic rays.
Right.
He
doesn't say galactic. I checked. I did my homework.
But they are basically particles that come from when we pass through the spiral line.
So in the interest of time, why don't I just tell you my side very quickly, because I'm not going to defend it as being the truth with a capital T. I think clouds...
I'm not going to defend it as the truth with a capital C. My God,
capital T.
Yeah, things are either true or they're not. What are you talking about? Like
my truth.
I maybe. I don't know what he means by that, because it's either true or it's not true, and he's either claiming it's true or it's not true. Is there things that he says are true, but they're not true with a capital T, so he says they're true, but they're not really true? Like, this is the dodgiest thing I've heard. Maybe he's sort of saying, hey, I wouldn't die on that hill kind of thing. And I don't know. I don't have a high confidence in that truth claim. Maybe?
Yeah, it's like saying, well, it's a fact, but it's not necessarily a true fact.
I'm getting real alternative fact vibes here, like I really am.
Clouds are very important. Everyone on both sides agrees that we don't understand clouds. The cosmic ray theory is one possible explanation. Maybe it's right, maybe it's not. I think it sounds plausible, but I'm not staking anything on it. It maybe or maybe not. We have to figure out clouds, and we have not figured. We haven't. We don't know exactly what causes some periods to be cloudy and some not.
But you put it in the documentary anyway. Even though you weren't sure about it. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
And yeah, I get what he's saying. Like there is a subsection in the climate denialist group who there's a lot of overlap with the flat earthers in this one.
Right.
Is that climate change is actually caused by incoming radiation. Now, some people say, oh, the sun's putting out more radiation. even though we haven't measured a significant change in the output of the sun's radiation.
Right.
And so others observe that fact and they go, oh, it must be cosmic rays then. We're getting gamma rays and X-rays. There's too many active black holes in our neighborhood, and that extra energy is influencing our system, and that's what's raising the temperature, which is to say climate change is happening, but it's not a CO2
not humans
problem.
It's and it's not humans,
which we can't fix.
But surely we should see an increase, like as this gets hotter, we should see an increase in these cosmic rays over time, because we can measure how much is coming in. Of course, we can't, like the problem is that we can't go back in time before we could measure it to see any trends coming out, like atmospheric temperature. We can measure that from dendrochronology, ice core samples, all kinds of things, but we can't do that with
extrapolate somewhat.
Yes.
Carbon dating, for example, because one of the ways that carbon 14, the carbon that we use for carbon dating, one of the ways it's produced is gamma rays, a specific wavelength of gamma rays.
Right.
So if we see there's a spike in the available carbon 14 in a given time period, that can be one indicator there was more gamma radiation reaching Earth in that time.
Yeah. No, that's fair. It's just, we should see a correlation between that, but I'm not sure that we do. To me, it sounds like something just completely unfalsifiable, just tossed out there as an excuse for why the temperature is increasing. Okay. Like, can you give any citation to confirm? But then again, he's not dying on this hill. He's obviously saying some people believe that. I personally don't. And it's like, weren't you a producer for this film? Like,
not just a producer, he's here to defend the film.
He's here to defend it, right? So you're basically saying, yeah, it has something in I don't believe, but I'm going to defend it anyway. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
we can't model them. They're so hard.
There's that last year. There was that Trump Project 2025 movie. There were a couple of them, but the one specifically that was Christian nationalists in nature, Eric Hovind was a producer on that. But if you confront him about it, he goes, oh, I'm just a producer. I don't actually, politics isn't my thing. I'm just here to thump the Bible and say we should make all our laws based on this,
Right.
He backs right the hell off.
He disagrees with the specifics, but agrees with the product of what it does, which is just wild. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, you would think if you have integrity, if you disagreed with some of the facts being presented in a documentary, that you would not be a producer of that documentary. You would want it to reflect everything that... Anyway. Okay.
To model. So it's one possible explanation. Is it the truth? I don't know. But we need to figure it out, because we don't understand natural variability. We absolutely don't. We don't know what's going to happen next, because it's so complicated. But the whole idea
I don't know, but I'm going to tell people it is in a documentary anyway.
Sure. Why not? And I mean, just because you've got to figure out variability in the atmosphere and in climate, you produced a documentary basically. Never mind. It's just wild how dodgy this guy is. Like, wild. Because he's basically said, oh yeah, that's in the documentary, I'm not sure I believe it. Let's go on to this other stuff. And Potholer was right for pointing this out. Every time he gets cornered, he brings up other stuff to talk about. He doesn't want to talk about it, while accusing Peter of doing the same. It's wild. Absolutely wild.
If we know the amount of CO2, then we know the temperature. We don't. It's all about complex natural variability, and the temperature fluctuates all over the place. The idea that we can control it by controlling CO2, that's not true. Absolutely not. But yeah, the whole cloud thing, it's a controversy.
I'm referring to the paper he did. He talks about when the Earth goes through the spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, we do get bombarded with more cosmic rays. It's possible that these then create particles on which drops of water can coalesce and causing more clouds. Now, this is the theory behind it. The problem about the celestial arm...
Well, it creates particles that water can coalesce on. Didn't you hear him the first time? It's perfectly understandable. I don't understand it. I don't.
The gamma rays create particles that the water can coalesce on, creating more clouds.
Apparently so.
I'm gonna say I probably missed something, because otherwise that's a stew of crazy sauce. I mean, those sure were words, but
yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. Unless like some sort of ionization is going on, I have no idea. But
like
then
altering particles, maybe making them more bindable for water, maybe, but like,
yeah, I don't know.
The only thing creating particles, that's like you need the gamma rays to meet either head on or perpendicular, depending on what kind of particles you're talking about. And then you only get an electron and a positron. Like that's not enough for water to condense. You need whole atoms, you know?
I have no idea.
The galaxy thing is that even in his, I mean, this is what struck me about this. I thought, well, I don't get it. I mean, I'm not the brightest guy in the world, but it didn't make any sense to me. But when I read his paper, he actually said, and I'll quote from it, we emphasize that our conclusion about the dominance of the CRF over climate variability is valid only on multi-million year timescales. And the reason for that is because we only go through the spiral arm about once every 20 million years. So that can't be the cause of recent warming.
No. So there's all sorts of short-term implications to this, too, because there's changes of, there are changes on the sun that can affect it.
If you let me speak, I'm just about to get onto that. There is the cosmic ray cycle, which takes place in concert with the sun's 11-year cycle. And what happens there is, as the sun gives out more particles.
That's the Milankovitch cycle, isn't it?
The 11-year one?
Yeah.
There's a few different cycles that the Earth goes through, and they're not all lined up. So
yeah, I think someone mentioned in chat, who was it? They said that, I think it was Andrew Cumming. And hello, Andrew, good to see you, mate. I think that the sun's average output has actually decreased over the last few decades because the sun is getting further away from the, just in its cycle, it's getting further away from the Earth, even though it's gone up. So that can't be it either. Which is a
11-year cycle is the Schwab cycle.
Oh yes, Schwab. Yep.
Milankovitch. Okay, yep, that's the periodic variation in Earth's orbit and orientation. That's the eccentricity of Earth's orbit thing. That's shit. My brain is made of mush. It's what,
Milankovitch,
26,000 years or something.
I can't remember. Last time I looked it up was when I did like a flat Earth debate. So it was just long time ago.
There's actually 3 of them. And Milankovitch only identified the one that has to do with the eccentricity, but the other 2, the precession and the obliquity, are also kind of linked. It's kind of the same thing, but they have different periods. The eccentricity, which is Milankovitch's, how it goes from circular to slightly more elliptical, has periods that run between 100,000 and 400,000 years. So there's a cycle within the cycle. Yay, epicycles. The obliquity, which is the tilt of the Earth's axis, which varies from 22.1 to 24.5 degrees. That's our little wobble in our axis. That has something like a 41,000 year cycle. And the precession, that occurs over approximately a 26,000 year cycle. So they don't line up cleanly, but cycles, yay.
Yeah.
It blows away the cosmic rays. It basically acts, I think, as a shield and so on. So you get this 11-year cycle with cosmic rays are more intense and less intense. And if that was the cause of warming, what I'm not quite clear about on this, and this has been the criticism of this theory, is that we ought to see an 11-year cycle in warming. We ought to see it warmer and cooler and warmer and cooler, and we don't see that. What we're seeing is a gradual rise in temperatures over the last 50 years.
Now,
even if clouds did warm the planet, and they seem to be feedback neutral, but if they did, that would seem to negate that idea.
Yeah, so you're looking for one control knob that if it's not CO2, then it has to be this 11-year cycle. That's not how it works at all. There's all these different
what
cycles.
I'm looking for and what I believe. Tom, don't tell me what I'm looking for. You got no idea.
Well, you won't tell me. You won't tell me. Do you understand natural variability? Do you think you understand it?
Have we?
You don't.
Have we got off topic now? What I'm talking about the cosmic rays. Did you hear what I said?
I heard what you said, and what I'm saying is that doesn't prove it. That you're saying, oh, there's no 11-year cycle, therefore it's not cosmic rays.
No, I
you
didn't
way
say
oversimplified it.
that.
What are you saying? What are you saying? There's all sorts of stuff happening. There's all sorts of things happening. There's volcanoes. There is a cosmic rays. There's just tons of things happening. And
yeah, so he just wants to sort of conflate now. Like his documentary presented this as why the climate is increasing. And Peter's basically saying, well, it can't be one of the reasons because we would see it influence the temperature cycles over an 11-year period rather than over a 50-year period. So was that right to put in the documentary when you yourself don't believe it? The answer, of course, is no, right? Like, if you don't have any evidence that influences it, the answer is no, we shouldn't have put it in a documentary. But he's not going to say that because he's part of the documentary people. So
just because you can't see the cycle, that means cosmic rays are not part of the picture. Maybe they are part of the solution, but there's so many things happening. Everything's moving around.
Okay.
I don't know what the solution is. I don't think 100 years from now we're going to understand climate well enough to model it because it's so complex. We don't understand even the initial state of all the variables. We don't understand how they interact. So the whole climate puzzle is so complicated that I don't think we can rule hardly anything in or out, except we can rule out CO2 being the climate control.
We can't rule anything in or out, except for CO2, which we can rule out.
Because it conflicts with my boss's needs.
Right. Because I'm involved with this thing. What is... this is really bad, right? Like, it's not just me. We can't rule anything in or out. Except for CO2, which we can rule out, even though there is a strong correlation between CO2 levels and temperature of the atmosphere. Like, it just, wow. Wow.
Control knob. That much we know. We have all this data showing CO2 not being the climate control knob. But what actually causes the climate to change? Can we predict it? No, it is so complicated.
But your movie gave the impression that it could be cosmic rays, which is causing warming. And what I'm saying is,
that could be one factor. Yeah, we talked about clouds. Clouds are complex. That's a possible. We're not saying, we never said that this is the reason. No, we didn't, because I don't think it is. That could be a large factor.
And he could be just the same way and be like, well, you're saying that cosmic rays are the climate control knob, right? And keep asking him that over and over again if he wanted to play the game.
Yeah.
Like Tom is, but...
Yeah, but Peter's got some form of integrity. You know, that's a problem, because then he can't, you know, as Sapphire said, he can't just act like an ass, basically. I get you, Sapphire. Yeah, he is.
But we never said it's the reason. And you're not telling me what you think is the reason. You backed away when I asked you, is CO2 the climate control knob? You said, oh, I haven't said that. I asked you, is the weather getting worse? You said, I haven't said that. I asked you, is the earth too hot? You said, I never said that. I'm wondering why you're even on the side you're on if you're not willing to stand behind any of this stuff. There's all these core beliefs of people that believe in the climate scam, and I don't think you actually believe in them. I can't tell what's going on here. Do you?
Because that's all straw man.
You seem to be trying very hard to paint a picture of me. You've got no idea.
Yeah, he's just straw manning. And he's basically going, why aren't you agreeing to my straw man? Well, because it's inaccurate, Tom.
It doesn't reflect my beliefs correctly.
Right. Like, but he's doing as much as calling it a scam, calling it, you know, I'm not going to agree to that because it's a straw man of my position. Wow. I've never seen someone so outraged that they haven't agreed to their you know, inaccurate straw man of their position before. It's wild, isn't it? Holy crap!
I'm direct. I asked you.
Sorry.
It's so much fun. So I was just checking. There is a second form of what you might consider a cosmic ray, especially that comes from the sun, and that's high energy particles moving so fast that you may as well call them a cosmic ray.
Right.
You know, raw helium nuclei, alpha radiation, all that sort of stuff. You can consider that a cosmic ray, and that sort of thing we can see. It's called the aurora borealis or the aurora austral if you're on the other side. And we can not only observe its frequency, but we can also measure its influence on climate. And an individual aurora doesn't have any measurable effect at the surface, but we can see that on years with really, really high aurora activity, there is an increase in the thermosphere temperature, when that seems to be the only significant variable. And a change in the thermosphere temperature doesn't do much for the weather on the ground, but it does interfere with the northern and southernmost jet streams, which are what keep those polar vortexes confined to the poles. So if you get a lot of incoming cosmic rays, at least from the sun, then you can get a disruption in the jet stream, which causes the loose polar vortexes, which makes winter very nice for places like Finland and winter very deadly for places like Minnesota. So there can be a relationship. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure, but we're not saying it's the one knob that changes everything, and no one's saying that about anything. It's just, you know, what's bad is that he's basically saying you're trying to strawman me into saying that this is the one climate control knob, when Peter did no such thing, right? He did no such thing, and that's the straw man he has been using this entire time.
Yes, for like both days that we've been watching this, he's been at least once every 15 minutes he asked him if CO2 is the climate control knob.
Yep.
These questions, I'm giving you the answers, so I have some idea. I have your answers to these questions.
Well,
I do.
To be honest with you, I'm not interested in answering questions about my personal beliefs in anything. You came to me, remember, you came to me, not the other way around, because you wanted a chance to answer the criticisms I made of your movie. And I've been trying really hard the last hour and a half to lay out my criticisms of your movie. I've been trying to pull you back from these wonderful little forays you go into all kinds of...
Into UHI? I'm talking about UHI, which is our topic. Sorry about talking about our topic.
And bring you back to the criticisms I've
been making. Okay, let's talk about this criticism you had. That
Actually, Jester is 100% right. That's inaccurate. You've seen someone more cheesed off that no one will sign up on his bullshit. I know this because I've seen you talk about our POTUS. That is true, actually. Yes, that is true. Yes, Jester, you got me. You're right. I have seen somebody. But I agree. I agree, Andrew. Potholer, what a guy! Like, seriously, I've never seen Potholer debate before this, but he is doing fantastic. Really, he is doing fantastic at letting him kind of dig his own grave, because you can see him being dodgy and deceptive, and he's pointing that out, which is great. That he's saying, "Hey, I want to talk about what we wanted to talk about." My criticisms of your movie, and you're just going to this other stuff. Absolutely right. It's fantastic. I do really like Potholer. He's doing amazingly well against somebody that is bombastic, obnoxious. I think I would go so far as to say bad faith. He really doesn't want to talk about the criticisms. He wants to talk about conspiracy talking points is what he wants to do. Like, rant incoherently about conspiracies is what he wants to do.
You said we misrepresent science. We push a political message. It's fair to ask, I'm quoting you directly here, it's fair to ask what the motivation is. And when you follow the money, as Deep Throat used to say, it becomes pretty obvious. Okay? So what exactly did you mean?
It leads to you, Tom.
Yeah.
When you follow the money, it leads to you. Yes.
So CO2, this CO2 site, they take donations.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, they take donations. They take people's money. They have an agenda as well. One that isn't backed by science. But that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about Potholer's criticisms of your movie, which you are desperate not to talk about. So I wonder why he's here at all. Oh, that's right. It's to do conspiracy theory stuff. Right.
You know our motivations? Are you a mind reader? Or you followed the money and it became pretty obvious? You used the word obvious. So what is my motivation? And how is that obvious?
Okay. I'm going to end on this note because we agreed to do 90 minutes. So I'll just answer that very, very quickly.
Okay.
I don't know what the motivation was for faking or airbrushing out that warming at the end. I don't know what the motivation was for taking the Willie Soon graph and exaggerating the warming in the 40s. I don't know what the motivation was for misrepresenting the fact that we've had ice ages when CO2 levels were low and claiming that they were high, which even you have pretty much admitted was a mistake. So I don't know what the motivation is for all this misrepresentation of the science that was done in your movie. I can look at the facts, and the fact is that the CO2 Coalition, of which you are a member.
Not a director. Why did you say I was a director?
Well,
why did you say that?
Now, interesting, because I made a mistake. Now, you called it a lie. It's interesting that when Lundqvist, you put 2000 for the date of his paper instead of 2010.
Yeah, that, oh, wow, that one-digit thing. Yeah.
Exactly, Tom. It's a minor mistake.
Minor mistake.
Yeah, and I like how he's saying, hey, I made a mistake. You're not a director. You are a member, though, Tom, and you did work on this movie, so you definitely are invested. And I wonder who contributes to the CO2 Coalition. Let's follow the money. Don't 503C have to have like their funding? Yeah, transparent.
IRS reporting requirements, as long as you're not a church. Yes.
Yes. Well, they're not a church. Let's see.
CO2 Coalition. Influence Watch says they are a right of center advocacy organization that educates policymakers and the general public about the importance of carbon dioxide in our lives and to the U.S. economy.
Well, there you
they
go.
are 501c3. In 2020, the most recent year for which numbers are available, they brought in $654,000.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot for a non-profit to get. While the CO2 Coalition does not disclose its donors. Oh, well, that's interesting. Tax filings confirm donations from Greater Horizons. So what's Greater Horizons? Corporation information. That's another non-profit. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, there's just layers upon layers of shells here. Like looking at their staff, Gregory Whitestone, the executive director of the CO2 Coalition. He's a former senior fellow at Cornwall Alliance. So what the fuck is the Cornwall Alliance?
Right.
Like,
What is that?
Oh, goodness. It's an evangelical Christian group that opposes environmentalism.
Oh.
Like that's all they do. That's what they're for.
Okay, so a large donor was the Mercer Family Foundation. Now that is a grant-making foundation in the United States, so it is going through grant after grant. The foundation is run by Rebecca Mercer, the daughter of computer scientist and hedge fund manager Robert Mercer. Conservative and donates to conservative causes and groups critical of climate change. Oh, the foundation of the Family Foundation has donated to places like the Heritage Foundation, Illinois Policy Institute, Heartland Institute.
Breitbart.com.
The Mercer Family Foundation has lobbied against efforts to fully fund the Internal Revenue Service. The organization has been linked to the funding of Donald Trump and other US far-right entities.
So, TLDR, we could chase down every single one of these threads, but so far 100% of them have been climate change is a red herring for Christian nationalism.
Yes, basically. Sarah Scaife Foundation. But, I really want to know who funds Greater Horizons, because that's like 225,000 in 219.
Let's try Greater Horizons. Incidentally, influencewatch.org is a pretty decent website for at least getting a taste of who's behind what organizations. It could save you time to because then you can just look up where the fuck all this stuff comes from. But I'm not finding anything on Greater Horizons itself except for its links to other groups, like the CO2 Coalition, Young America, Kate Lubin, whoever the fuck that is. There's just, they don't seem to like have any footprint except their donations to other groups, at least through this particular source.
Okay. So the Horizon Charitable Foundation, it provides, no, that's a different one. I'm saying a different one. Sorry, that's my bad. That's a Horizon Charitable Foundation. So a lot of these are like, they will have these sort of, Greater Horizons, for instance. They will be a donor organization that will take donations and pass it along to other places, essentially. So what it'll protect is people like, say the Koch brothers. They will never be known to be supporting a anti-climate change thing. They will give to these organizations knowing that they're going to support what they want to. They will send it to places that they want to support. So it's a problem because we don't get to see who these organizations are actually being funded by. And, because he's going, follow the money. Well, your organization doesn't show your donors, so how can we? Right? Like, because scientific places will say, hey, we get our money from, the government, from these places, from these organizations. You don't. Okay, so when he says follow the money, he's like, don't follow our money. Follow your money. They hide where their money's coming from. Because of course he does. Of course he does.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Follow the money, but not our money.
Yeah, not our money. Because he's going to say, "Oh, we just received donations." Yes, from right wing. Basically, they're like PACs. They're from right wing non-profits that take money from corporate interests. And every time you look it up, it's going to be, oh, they took money from people like this other charity. Yeah, that's also giving to Christian nationalism, also giving to Trump, also giving to anybody that supports their cause. This isn't rocket science. If you follow the money, you are getting money from corporate donors. And I would be willing to bet, I don't know this for sure, this is my opinion, but I'd be willing to bet a lot of those donors are involved with fossil fuels. And they understand giving money to these people, they will fight against climate change and, make their denialism.
That's one of the reasons I keep hammering the point. All conspiracy theories are the same conspiracy theory, because aside from the identical mechanisms that they use to present their bad faith arguments and connect the dots with red yarn and all that shit, they're all being funded by the fossil fuel guys, like whatever it is. Like recently, I think it may have been aired in the morning, it may have been another source. I've been through so much fucking news lately, but it was revealed that the largest single funder of the various transphobic hate groups that are trying to make a culture war on trans people to be a political distraction are funded almost entirely by the fossil fuel industry for some curious reason. It's almost like while everybody's having a huzzabazoo over whether A.B. Hernandez can compete in a high school track meet, no one's paying attention to drilling in the national parks, for example. Weirdly enough.
And And I'll tell you something I do, which you never do, and I bet you're not going to do this now, even though you've seen a few things I've shown you that you got wrong. You're not going to correct any of that. I have a correction section in every video that I make. If people point out a mistake, as you did, calling you a director instead of a member of the CO2 Coalition, I correct it. That's what I do. I also cite my sources, which you obviously do. And now, hang on, you asked me a question. So
I asked about the pretty obvious thing, and you're off on some. You're off doing fairy tales. You're not. You're off on doing stuff. You don't answer the pretty obvious.
Oh, the irony! Oh, the irony!
Right?
I asked you about something specific, and you're off ranting about oh, the irony.
Ooh, we have an irony emoji. I don't get to play with emojis.
I want you to answer.
Yeah.
Sure, the pretty obvious thing.
I was answering the question when you suddenly picked me up on the fact that I called you a director instead of a member.
All right.
You picked me up on that, so I'm answering that. Now I'll get back to the issue.
All right.
I'm going with what you're going with, right?
Great, thank you.
If we get back to the issue of what would motivate people to do this, the CO2 Coalition says in its mission statement, it's very clear. It was on the website. It's been altered now, but it said.
You know, I didn't say this earlier. He reminds me of my father-in-law. I call him a boffin. Like, he really is a boffin. My father-in-law is a chemist, and he loves playing around with, like, I think I mentioned this, in his retirement, he's playing around with electronics and stuff like that, like automated systems and integrated circuits. So he does really remind me of my father-in-law, uncannily so. But, you know, I call him a boffin, so I'm going to call Potholer a boffin as well. It's such an English word. Do you guys use that word?
No, I have no idea what it means.
Oh, boffin's like...
little things in Star Wars?
No, absolutely not. No, it's a nickname for scientific people. Like during the military and stuff, like during World War II, they would call the people who were doing the science, like, oh, give it to the boffins to sort out kind of thing. You know, the technical people in England were boffins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't really have a name for that. You know, the science people, the nerds, the squints. But it's really only the jocks that call the nerds the squints.
Right. So yeah, I think you call them the Illuminati these days, you know, or something. You know.
That its mission was to promote CO2 and fossil fuels. That's your mission.
Did it say that? To promote fossil fuel? Did it say that ever?
Yes, it did.
To promote fossil fuel.
Do you want me to show it to you?
No, I don't. I want you to say what this whole pretty obvious thing.
I know, they took it off. I
didn't know that. Didn't know that.
Discriminating.
Oh. So it used to say they promote fossil fuels, and maybe they got a bit of flack, so they took it off. Oh, I've got, you know, do you want me to show you? I've got the screen capture of that. It used to say, no, I don't want to see that. Of course you don't. Of course not. Of course not.
Used to be funded by Exxon, and you've had funding from the Mercer family foundation.
I've had funding.
I'm talking about the CO2 Coalition.
It's not me. I have not gotten 1 cent from anyone. Not one.
That's not what he's saying. He's saying you, as a member of this coalition, like, did you not receive funding for your film? Where did the funding come from?
You're a member of a coalition that received funding.
But did you get funding for your film, or did you pay it out of pocket? I bet you he got funding, and it was from the CO2 Coalition. So he got funding from... It's wild that you've got to, like, it's this splitting hairs, you know, like this, oh, well, you said this, but it's not exactly correct. It's like, be a bit charitable. He's obviously saying the coalition got funding. Oh, me personally, nobody said.
Well, see, that's the problem with this pronoun bullshittery people have been pulling for the last 600 years or so. If people still used thou to refer to a singular second person, and then when he said you, it would be clear he's speaking plurally about the group. But no, we can't do that. We're using you for both things now because a single individual can be plural, I guess.
Yeah.
Sent from anyone. Okay, that's very important. Have you gotten any money from anyone?
No. Are you?
No, nobody.
Why would anybody pay me?
How about for writing?
Okay,
I would pay you. I would pay you, Peter. You're doing a fantastic job.
In fairness, YouTube pays him.
Keep up the good work.
Little bit.
Yeah. So yeah, we're obviously minions of Google. All of us. That's all we do,
it's
right?
True. We're all shills for the Alphabet Corporation.
Yeah. All hail our Google overlords. You know. Did we? We retired. Oh, you mean in that context? Yeah, I still squint occasionally. Like, Come on.
Oh, sorry, I fell for that.
Okay.
You're changing the subject again.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's get back to the pretty obvious
Every
thing.
time you're on the ropes, you want to go off on a tangent.
I'm on the ropes about the pretty obvious thing. Go ahead, pretty obvious.
Tom, you asked me a question about.
Yes, and it's been 5 minutes. You still haven't answered it. Pretty obvious. Go ahead.
Because you keep cracking on to something else. Now listen, and I'm getting on to the point. What motivates the oil companies to fund a political organization or a lobby group or think tank or whatever you want to call yourselves, whose mission is to promote fossil fuels and make a film that then alters graphs and does jiggery-pokery with the facts? That I don't know, and you don't know, because you can't look into the minds of those guys working for the oil industry. Now, we did 3 topics.
You can pretty well guess. Like, it's very hard to convince somebody of something when their livelihood depends on it not being true. That's the thing.
Right.
Like, they make a incredible profit off of fossil fuels, and if we lower the amount of fossil fuels, their industry will really suffer. Somebody used the same analogy for the tobacco industry. It used to be a massive industry, and they falsified studies. They paid doctors. They basically did everything possible to tell people that smoking was not only not bad for you, but in fact, it was good for you.
You know, I've been noticing that a lot of these modern conspiracy theories have either been resurrected from the dim past or created out of whole cloth starting somewhere around the 1960s. And that's about the time these industry paid studies and bribed scientists and 9 out of 10 doctors recommend camels started to come to an end. I wonder if there was a regulatory change where that was no longer a really viable strategy for trying to promote your product that's causing a tremendous amount of harm. And so they pivoted into reinvigorating conspiracy theories and making films like this.
Right.
Because they can't do it the other way anymore. So this is the next closest option.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But that was egregious, and it's been done a lot. And to sort of accuse Potholer of sort of, and scientists who they don't make that much money. Like, as a climate scientist, you are not raking it in. Like, he kind of talks about this conspiracy as if, climate scientists are the most well-paid people. I think that if you're talking about scientists, one of the most well-paid scientists is petroleum scientists. People working in the petroleum industry to find oil. Like, petroleum geologists are very well paid. Climate scientists, not so much. Not so much.
I want to reiterate something I said last week when we talked about this too. Climate, the movie, was funded and promoted by the Heartland Institute. So the Heartland Institute,
that doesn't sound good.
The Koch brothers, right?
Right. Yeah.
Directly. Heartland.org. If you want to go look at their nonsense, it's pretty bad. And they're very anti-environmentalist. Yeah,
but now they're doing it like, the Koch brothers will give money to a charity organization, which will give money to another charity organization, which will give it to a specific one that will carry out what they want to happen. So, now they've got like several degrees of separation going, which is even wilder. I think that every charity, I thought they had to list their donors, but apparently, according to Influence Watch, it says they've refused to. So that's odd. I don't know what the law is like over there. I thought maybe it's only in Australia. I have no idea. It's weird though, right?
Pretty loopy. But I do have an answer to the shift in the tobacco thing. And there is some overlap. Starting in the 1960s, litigation started. People started suing tobacco companies because relatives were dying of things like emphysema that were definitely the result of tobacco use. And the tobacco industry had been funding all these fake studies saying it's super healthy. So the people at the time had no way to know that it was not healthy. And that's what killed them. And that continued and continued and continued to snowball until 1989, when 46 states attorneys general plus the District of Columbia got together and kicked the crap out of the tobacco industry collectively. They ended up with a settlement called the Master Settlement Agreement, which prohibited tobacco manufacturers from funding fake studies, producing fake promos and fake documentary, and basically lying to the public. It's a specific article that they cannot spend money with the intention of lying to the public. But unfortunately, that agreement only applies to the tobacco industry.
Yeah.
Every other major industry is free to continue spending money willy-nilly with the intent of deception. Love it. Yay,
fun
yay
fact,
capitalism.
The Heartland Institute that I just talked about was founded in 1984 to help Philip Morris with their tobacco campaigns to discredit health risks of secondhand smoke. So,
of course they were.
Full circle.
Yeah.
We found
this guy would have been,
folks. Break out
20, 30 years ago, Tom would have been there, would have been promoting tobacco.
Oh, yeah.
He would have been Aaron Eckhart's character from Thank You for Smoking.
That was a great film, by the way. Fantastic film.
Watch that movie if you want to know what kind of grift this guy's running here.
Yeah.
It's just a client.
We need one of those for climate change. Like you're not allowed to bankroll
Don't
studies.
Look Up is one of those for climate change. With is it Leonardo DiCaprio?
The one about the asteroid.
Yeah, the asteroid is a stand-in for
climate change. Yeah.
Or climate change. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you so much from Left-Handed Jedi, $5. Listen to a 1940s radio shows and the commercials where they say your doctor promotes smoking. Yeah. And they had enough doctors that were willing to, sell out to sort of say, hey, it's really good for you, and go on TV and smoke. It's wild. Looking back on it, it's like, how the fuck could they possibly have gotten away with that? Like, to us, it's just baffling. It's incredibly baffling.
Motivated reasoning is fucking wild, but especially in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, people had no fucking morals, apparently, despite the objective morality before we took God out of the schools or what the fuck ever. Like segregation, for example, that was a big thing in the United States in the post-war years. And people today look back and are like, how could the people back then not see how obviously wrong this is? Well, they could. They just didn't give a fuck.
Yep.
About motivation, I answered your question, and we only have a few minutes.
No, wait a minute. You said it's pretty obvious what my motivation is. You did not answer that. What was my motivation? You're saying it's pretty obvious.
Personally, I've no idea.
Why did you say it was pretty obvious?
Because I'm not talking about you personally. I'm talking about the people that funded the movie, and I'm wondering why they funded a movie that misrepresented facts. As I said, and you didn't quote me, obviously, because you don't like to quote what I actually said.
I quoted you a lot on this very debate. I quoted you a ton. Please don't lie about that.
Yeah. You misquoted him a ton.
Yeah.
Misquoted. Yeah. That's not the same as quoting somebody accurately. But I suppose it's true. He did quote you, just misquoted. That's all. Wow, it's terrible. He's terrible.
She said was there wouldn't be a problem with an educational film that was entirely accurate and that issued corrections and that cited its sources. The problem I have is with a movie that is distributed free of charge, so clearly you're not expecting to make money. You spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this movie, you had a film crew going out to Africa or wherever. I don't know what you spent. I don't know who funded it. And
how come you gave a number then if you don't know? Kind of weird.
But
are you just guessing?
I've done filmmaking before. I know.
Well, look at him muddy the water. It's like, oh, well, you said you didn't know how much spent. Look, we can get a general estimate watching a film whether it took a lot on. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It's like saying, well, you made this film. We can see the production of it. It's got to have cost over, $100,000 for all of that stuff. Oh, but you said you didn't know how much it. Look, this is so dodgy. Like, so dodgy.
You can give production ranges based on a knowledge of the film industry without knowing how much they spent, just based on how much it costs to make a documentary.
Correct him then. Tell him how much it costs. But he won't, because he knows damn well it would have cost a lot to produce that documentary. Like, this is the dodginess of him. He's like, oh, you're wrong. Well, how much does it cost? I'm not going to answer that. That's basically what he's doing. He's saying, well, you don't know something for sure, so you can't say it, while knowing that he is correct. Like, it's so dishonest. Holy crap.
Much it costs to send a film crew out to Africa.
Yeah.
And so you've got all this money spent. You're not recouping it from any distribution deal. So you're not selling it to the History Channel. It's free of charge on the internet. So there's got to be some motivation behind it for the people who are funding it. Not you personally. Clearly, you are religiously fanatical.
No. That's bullshit. No, I'm not religiously fanatical. No, I am in this because I am here for the truth. I'm honestly fighting for the truth.
Yeah, these grifter flat earthers say exactly the same thing.
Are definitively fanatical about this.
Yeah.
I don't think he actually believes it, though. I don't think Tom believes it. That's why he has his buzzwords.
Yeah, and why he keeps trying to change the subject so egregiously whenever he's pinned into a corner. He can't just say, hey, maybe I'm wrong on this, but I'm right on this. He really is like one of those flat earthers. Every time they're pinned, they just try desperately to change the subject. And it's obvious, Tom. It's obvious. Like, we can't say for sure, but, that's my opinion from your behavior, is you are just shilling.
I mean, it says right in the movie what the motive is, right? Like, they've got this propagandist, this Durkin fellow, as one of their main presenters, who did an almost identical movie back in 2007, which got widely panned and criticized as fake news. And it was like an almost point-for-point remake in this movie. And Durkin several times specifically points out that this false CO2 is the control knob of climate narrative is the driver behind punitive and restrictive policies that are crippling industrialized countries in the West economically. It's literally, we need to stop regulating industry because it's hurting our bank accounts.
Mm-hmm.
He just says it.
Says the quiet part completely out loud. Yep. Doesn't surprise me.
The truth as I believe it. I've dug into this. I've spent so much time looking into this, and catastrophic AGW really is the most massive scientific fraud in human history, and I'm fighting that because it's the right thing to do. I'm not making any money off of this. I'm defending the truth.
I'm sure you're a fervently, very, whatever. I'm sure you believe in whatever you believe, but today we were talking about the science. We've got 2 minutes 50 left, so I think it's better to leave it here because we've covered all the topics that we both chose. And I tried as much as possible to keep it on focus with what was wrong with your movie and what I found wrong with your movie, and then people can make their own judgments based on that.
Nice sum up. Yep, absolutely. Okay. Look, I loved it. I thought that Potholer, I think that his patience was amazing. He was fully prepared, absolutely prepared. Tom was not. He was not prepared in the slightest because he didn't have any graphs, any papers. He didn't even have the names of the papers that he cited in his movie. He had nothing besides, I'm going to go on camera and rant for a couple of hours, basically. So I think Potholer did really well. His patience was amazing, and pulling him back to the original topic. And even though he went down that path once and started talking about follow the money, well, where do we follow the money to? And then went, hang on a second, we were talking about this. Tom did everything possible to derail the conversation. Absolutely everything. Up to and including when he said, I will have to find something, you rant for a while. Just the barrage of nonsense coming out of his mouth with no, I would understand if he said, okay, this is one thing and I have the evidence here. This is how we know that it's happening. Here is all of the proof. That would be one thing. But he just went off, one thing after another, to barbecues, to planes causing this, to the biggest conspiracy ever. Like, my guy, you do realize you sound like a conspiracy whack job right now. I actually like that Potholer let him rant. I don't think it did anything for Tom. I think it did him a lot of harm, actually. So, well done, sir. I salute. That was great. I enjoyed that, kind of. It was funny.
It killed more brain cells than alcohol poisoning, but it did have its moments, yes.
Do you have a citation for that?
I'm thrilled that you all enjoyed the debate that I had to bring and throw on your plate today.
You know what?
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead, Bree.
I don't know what else to do with these kinds of topics besides keep putting the spotlight on them, because this is actually important stuff we're talking about here.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, I learnt a few things and a few talking points from the anti-climate change side that are interesting, that are very interesting. And I think it would have been more frustrating if Peter hadn't been so good, because he was amazing. Really, really amazing. So I'm very impressed with him. And, if this was his first debate, wow, even better, because that was not an easy debate, right? That was hard. I know I would have struggled in that to keep the guy on topic, keep him focused on point, and refute all of this nonsense that he just gish-galloped away with. It would have been very difficult. So, hey, 100% kudos to you, sir.
You've got to balance the science in one hand while working your lasso on this freaking wild horse going every fucking which way with the other.
Yep. And I have no doubt that Tom thought he did well. And it probably would appeal to people, because he's giving those dog whistles and those conspiracy theorists just what they want to hear. And there's got to be some better way to, obviously your average person will watch that and go, wow, he is being incredibly dodgy. And I think it's really important that Potholer pointed it out when he was being so dodgy. You want to change the subject, or why are you changing the subject? Fantastic, point it out. Don't feel like you have to just accept it because you're in a debate. He didn't, and I think it was fantastic because, he was trying to change the subject. He was leading down to a lot of subjects that hadn't even been brought up. And I love that he really hammered on the single points that he had to make. You altered the graphs. I probably would have liked him to go more into, why did you alter the graphs? Like, really pin him on that. Like, don't you think that altering the graphs is a dishonest way to present information from a paper, from a scientific paper?
It speaks for itself that you had to alter the graphs.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I sorry, Ems, go ahead.
Oh, I just said, what if it went the other way? What if, I altered the graphs and then said it's the same graph as was it? It'd be super obvious if your opponent did it. You'd say, no, that's not fair. You're cheating,
Yep. What was the Al Gore, An Inconvenient Truth, right? If they had altered the graphs in a paper and then cited the paper, Tom would be absolutely furious and use it as an example of a conspiracy to alter the scientific paper to misrepresent the truth. The fact is, it's fine if his side does it. It's not fine if the other one does. And that's really emblematic of the age of the new Republican Party and Trump. It's okay if I do it, just not if you do it. That is the emblem of our time. Is it's okay for you, not me. No, it's okay for me, not you. And that's sad. That's really bad.
Yeah, but even if you don't, it's still fake news, because if it comes from you, if it doesn't agree with me, it's fake.
Yeah. Have we got any more thoughts on that one, or shall we wrap it up?
I got to wrap it up anyway. I'm 20 minutes late for movie night tonight.
I'm sorry. Okay. Well, we didn't get any spikes, which was a shame. We did get some knobs though. So everyone likes knobs. We did get knobs. So there you go. But don't forget to like, subscribe. It helps me out a great deal and I always appreciate it. Leave a comment with any thoughts. I will see it. And try to respond with some kind of nonsense or something somewhere. Don't forget to share, because it does help me a great deal if lots of people watch this. But and Jester's jumped in last minute, Jester, for $5 US. Then we would pray that you didn't get. Then would pray that you didn't alter the graphs further, Ember. One more Star Wars references. Just pray that I
don't alter the terms further.
Yeah, I don't alter the graphs further.
Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about, an amalgamation for Christian nationalism, the Empire pretty well covers it, to be honest with you, but, there you go.
There's a lot of similarity, but I mean, they were based on the Nazis, so...
That's true. That's true. Yeah. But don't forget to be kind to yourself. Be kind to each other. When you're providing a citation, at least just have the name of the paper. It's not that hard. Be kind to somebody. They don't want to spend 30 minutes trying to find some obscure paper by somebody. Just get the name of the paper and the author, and that will usually do the job. Year if you feel especially kind. Please. Like I feel like people that don't do that have no idea how many papers are out there with similar names. It's incredible. But please do that. Bree, loved having you here. It was fantastic. Thank you so much for coming. Ember, it's always a pleasure. And we will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Night.
Okay, so somebody just dropped in. Thank you so much, Music by Brian 2024 for $1.99 USD. All hail Earl, goddess of the underworld. Fair enough. I don't know who the current goddess of the underworld is. I thought it may be Persephone. Not 100% sure, but the jury's out on that one. But thank you so much. Really do appreciate it, Music by Brian. And now we can end.